Welcome back from your lunch. So let's find out. Let's get a pulse and find out where you guys are at. Let's see. Who we got on here? Who we haven't called on it at all? Hey, Ben, you keep having a question, so I'm gonna answer your question live and in person and tell you that I don't have an answer for you, but I'm still gonna find out where you're at. So, Ben, I don't know how to say your last name. Girk? Is that right? Something like that? Okay. Rob Newhouse, bring you up. And Kyle Driver, and then let's see, Paul Rutherford. Let's see if we get these guys up here. Oh, there we go. We got Kyle, we got Rob, we got Ben. There we go. We got our crew. All right, Ben, where you at, man? And I want to center this conversation around this concept of the king eats first. King eats first. When we think about that, what does that actually mean to you in your world?
It's pretty much the exact opposite of what I have been doing.
Tell me more.
I haven't put myself first at all. I've been making sure that everybody and everything is taken care of before me.
And what impact has that had on you?
Pretty shitty one. I'm not in a place right now where a lot of things are working well. I haven't been incentivized or motivated to really keep pushing because it seems like I'm never going to benefit. Everybody else will, but not me.
Yeah, it's tough to keep going if you're not seeing any fruit. Don't see the reward. It's like, why would I push? Yeah, I can see the mental mind game on that. Kyle, what would you add to that? You are muted, brother.
There we go. Can you hear me?
There we got it. Yep, we got you, man.
So I in the opposite place. I have the freedom to take time for myself and financially to go on trips and things like that, and it really benefits to be able to. This year I was able to get away for a week and go hunting and spend some time in the woods, and it was really good for the production and and getting back. So really just the opposite. And I like to get away and fish and do those sort of things. Financially, as we talked before, in the business starting phase. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah. So have you always had this freedom to do what you're doing right now?
No. As a matter of fact,
what was the shift?
Last year, really, I'd never gone on vacation before. Like I was deployed in Kosovo. I worked for 5 years straight, 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts. So I'm not used to taking time off. So it's not like it was a habit.
Yeah, so this is new. It's not a beautiful thing to experience, right? And so you're seeing the value and the fruit inside that. So Ben, as you hear Kyle talk, what is that? What is it? What are you hearing? What are you hearing from that? Even in the happiness that Kyle's expressing this.
Well, it's important to take the time to enjoy some of the spoils, but at the same time, not to the extent of taking your foot completely off the accelerator. This is one of the reasons that I came to Warriors, to try and find that balance. Like there's a ton of shit that I didn't know and still am in the process of learning on, marketing, running the business and all that jazz. But it's really important that I take the time to celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, as soon as we get back from the trip or whatever it is, it's okay, now I'm going to double down and work even harder.
Yeah. But also with the concept, right, of breaking the old patterns of the Ben who doesn't pay himself, who's the last one to actually be paid, right? To position to where these aren't just celebration of wins, this is a lifestyle, right? You heard how Garrett set it up, right? He says that how much money do I need to make for the year, and then the business needs to support that, and no matter what, that's going to happen, right? So it's a mind shift, not just hey, we won, so now I get to reward myself and celebrate the wins. The wins are going to happen. You compel the wins in because the king's going to eat first. Hence the reason, the motivation to go and do the drive and all that. Then you don't run into the motivation of, hey, I'm on the peak, then I'm dropped down the valley. Paul, what would you add to this? What would you add to this conversation? The king eats first.
You got to pay yourself first. So if it's for me, I'm an entrepreneur. So 401k, actually 403b, it's a church group. It's maxed out. My contribution maxed out, and then IRA's maxed out. The other thing is I take it internally. If I take all the cuts in a budget, I'm not going to be able to produce the results that people want. So we're going to have to spread it evenly. So I need to fight for what's mine a little bit. And otherwise I can't serve others. It's not going to happen.
Oh, did you guys catch that? You guys catch what he just said? What did you say? What did he just say, Rob? What did you just hear?
To be able to serve others, that's something that's lacking in my life. And I feel like some ways I eat first, like Paul said, max out my retirement and, all that, but I have all the opportunity in the world to do that, but I just simply don't. That's some of that stuff is scarcity mindset, around money and,
why don't you do it? If you have it all around you, why don't you do it? What's happening?
I think just the feeling that things are going to fall apart if I operate in that position. And I own an auto repair shop, so if I feel like if I'm not there every day, shit won't run smoother. And in reality, it probably runs smoother when I'm not there. I can't throw a wrench in the plans and get in the way of the production kind of thing. So for me, it's 100% mental. There's nothing there. And, it's not like if I don't go to work today, my family's not going to get paid or anything like that. It's just, that's just a new way to, a new way to think.
Oh.
And I guess I just really have never.
Look at this. Yeah, look down.
Never thought of that.
Let's pull this down a level. Why don't you think you're worth it?
I think I'm worth it. You just
sat and told me that you'd rather be at the mechanic shop, and that you can't let go of that. And so there's a sacrifice. There's a choice that you're making by doing that. And you look at all we could spend time going down the rabbit hole of the opportunity cost. But ultimately comes down to you're not paying yourself. You're not pulling out and actually experiencing that life because why? There's a value in it for you.
I'm probably scared of how that looks. Just out of my own fear of.
What would it look? What do you think it's going to look like?
I think I'm for myself personally, I'm successful to how do you want to say this? I feel like I've overreached my calling in life already. I always thought growing up with no money, I always thought if I had, money fixes everything. I'd be happy if I had $1 million. This was literally everything that I thought of my entire fucking life. And then you get this shit and you're like, we were having a conversation, one of the breakouts, about, well, what do you do if you had, well, if I had 500K in the bank, what would that change? Well, for me, it doesn't change anything because it doesn't make me happy. And that's, again, that's really one of the reasons why, or that really is the reason why I came to Warriors, because I had, if I checked all the boxes, I had it all. I had, my wife's a stay-at-home mom. Been with her for 20 years, 2 beautiful kids, a successful business. I was fucking miserable. Like what am I doing all this for? I get it. I want to support my family, but just looking for that, what's out there? Why am I here? And again, in one of the other breakouts too, we talked about this a little bit. I went through this whole purpose, but I've been through that, and I'm not there. That's something that I'm working on in my, in my life. That really, what's my calling? Is.
Yeah. When the money becomes a tool to help feed that. If the pursuit is just the money, which is why you having $500,000 in the bank doesn't mean much to you. Because it's not
Right.
tied to anything, it's just money. Right, puts you in his place. So right now, going to the mechanic shop, going to work, doing that is giving you some sense of purpose, yes?
Correct.
Yeah. But there's
Because
a
I
higher
feel
level.
like, yeah, I feel like I'm a producer. I'm a mechanic by heart,
Right.
you know, and now I'm a, I say I'm a cat herder. That's, you know, that's what I call, you know, keeping the employees, you know, doing the ownership, you know, end of it. I've found in personally that I'm having the struggle of, you know, going from that technician mindset to, you know, the shop owner. I've been a shop owner for 15 years, so it's nothing new to me, but
Right.
to go to that mindset of becoming, where that's my satisfaction versus producing something. You know, when a broken car comes in, car doesn't run, you drag it in the shop, figure out what's wrong with it, you fix it. That's instant gratification. Like, hey, this thing is fixed. I did this. I produced this. This is my worth in life. Now, you know, maybe it's something to do with how I value myself. You know, what
I'll tell you 100% is that. And it's the reason I asked the question I asked you a couple of minutes ago. Why aren't you worth it? It's 100% a value thing. And you're locked in this story and this narrative of who you are, and it's giving you the results. These results have taken you out of scarcity. And now you're in this place where you're like, oh, shoot, what do I do here? And you're grasping, holding on to the past. You're grasping and holding on to all the things that brought you to this place. So, Ben, what are you hearing now? What are you hearing now?
I'm hearing that it's not only important, but it's vital for the king to eat first, so that my cup is full, so that I can pour myself into other people and serve them in the way that I've been called to do so.
If it's always this element of me for the me sake of me, then you can't serve and help other people. Right? If we're only just coming and pursuing after the money, Rob, and it's just about the money, get the money, get the money, get the money, you'll find yourself, same as I found myself in Vegas, first time I ever worked with Garrett in the mortgage banking world, sitting there on the hillside looking over the Las Vegas Strip, having this arrival moment. Because for that point in my life, it's the most money I'd ever made. I never thought was possible to make more than $10,000 a month. It was the wild concept that could never happen. And I remember arriving at this place, and I'd been able to buy a BMW with cash, and there was all these things. And I'm sitting there in this arrival moment, and I'm exactly like what you described, Rob. It was like, well, that's not actually cool. Like, this is it? Like, this is what I did all this for? So the problem was I had no attachment or meaning inside what was I actually going to do with it. So just like what you're doing, Rob, is like you're finding yourself going right back into the thing. Exact same thing I did. Instead of me course correcting, pivoting my life, no, I just went back to work. I was like, oh, well, maybe that's, okay, so it's not that one. Maybe I just got to go keep doing the thing. Keep doing the thing. And then finally, God was like, yeah, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. So he hit me with a 2x4 across the face. I shared that story in WarriorCon. Right? He was like, you're going to wake up. You're going to wake up and you're going to get this. And it's taken me 20 years to finally fully understand what this actually means. But ultimately, it's to generate all this. Like, we're not trying to have the king eats first. Garrett doesn't create this game where the king eats first just for Garrett's world. It's the impact. The words he used, which I think were powerful, right? Put a dent in the world. Put a dent in the world. All right, so it's really the mission for all of us. That's really what we're doing. As we dive into the rest of today, this is the conversation we're having is, what is that dent? If we were able to let go and strip out all the bullshit, everything about ourselves that we believe to be just the way that it is, or the stories that are holding us like latched into this version of us today, if we're able to let that stuff go and actually see what could be possible, what could the dent look like? What is the dent that Rob leaves when Rob leaves the mechanic shop? Dude, I'm a car guy, I get it. I love working on cars. I got a car at home right now that I work on. I love it. It's like a fun thing for me, but I've turned it into a hobby. Used to be something I did for work. Not to the level that you did, right? Didn't run the shop that way, but I get the cars, I get the drive into that, but ultimately that's irrelevant. It's what is the dent that Rob is supposed to make. Right now, being a mechanic and running the mechanic shop, that's the vehicle that's gotten you to where you're at right now. And there's this whole new version of you on this other side. So once the coffers are full, right, Paul, once you have all of these things filled up and you have all of this stuff, then it's like, okay, what's the impact I can make? Right, what's the bigger thing? Where do I go? And this is the transition you have to be able to make inside of your guys' minds and your thought process as we dive in. And Garrett walks us through this process to help us start to see what's actually possible. It takes us down evolution. It's like, okay, wow, if I took all the restraints away, here's where I could go. So, beautiful. Let's two clap it up. Two clap. Oh. You know what to do in the chat. You know what to do in the chat. You know what to do. You know what to do. Well done. Well done.
Both three of them up. Both three of them up. All right, let's go. Bring them back. Ben, how much money did you take home this year? 2022, go.
In 2022,
Uh-huh.
I'd have to do the math, but off the top of my head,
Do it
I'd say
quickly.
about 70K.
Paul, what'd you take home this year?
156. Correction, Garrett. 68% of that. Give all the rest to Uncle.
Give all the rest what?
Back to Uncle Sam. 68%.
Okay, but your pay was 156 and then you paid taxes, correct?
Exactly.
We move the chat so I can see his face, Cameron. Where's my third person that was up there? Who was it? Rob. Let's bring Rob back up. I'm gonna see him too. All right, Rob, what would you take home this year?
Right around 5 1/4.
Okay, so Ben, the 70K, does this put you in scarcity or abundance?
Scarcity.
Okay, Paul, this 156 put you in scarcity or abundance?
Abundance.
Rob, does this 525 put you in scarcity or abundance?
This particular year it did. I
Is
just
it
did
abundance or scarcity?
scarcity.
Scarcity. Okay, so 525 on your personal nut. This side doesn't cover what you need.
Oh, it way does, but in my mental, in my
Is
mind,
that
it
down
doesn't.
from what it was? Is that down from what it was the year before?
No, it's about the same.
About the same. So what changed then? Did your expenses go up?
I built a multi-million-dollar new shop.
Okay. So the expense load is coming from the business side, which weighed on the personal take home at 525.
It will. That's
it's
going to
going
start
to.
next year.
Okay, next year it's going to. But 525 right now, this pays your what's your personal expenses right now on a monthly basis? What's the total you need to live? Your world, your house, your mortgage, going out, day, night. If you don't change anything, Rob, what's that number?
Probably $5,000.
How
$7
much?
grand. 5, 7. No more than
5, 7 a
10,000
month?
per month.
10,000 a month?
Yep.
So you got like 400,000 basically, like 350,000 and like slush up and above what you need?
Yep.
Okay, so this is why you're not going anywhere for sure. You're too comfortable. There's no reason to change anything. This is why, like, bringing on this new office is going to make it exciting. Why? This new warehouse, your new shop, what's it going to do?
Well, it opens my possibilities.
Yeah, it's going to put more fucking pressure on you.
Mhm.
You're going to have to rise, right? So it's like, okay, well,
Right.
if I want to keep the same game. And again, you got a great margin, right? So you're like, all right, dude, I make 3 times more than I need to operate. Does your wife want a lot of new shit?
No.
No. That can be a blessing and a curse. Why? What's the blessing of it?
Well, the money can sit, the money can be used for other things.
Yeah, you can save money. You don't have to go spend it on shit. What's the disadvantage?
No pressure.
Yeah, your wife thinks you're a fucking rock star. She's not asking you to make $5 million. She's like, what the fuck's wrong with you, Rob? Why don't you make $5 million? You pussy? What's wrong with you? Can't you make $5 million, Rob? What's going on? On the flip side, we got guys are in all kinds of situations, right? You got women who are pushing them to go get more, women who don't care. Women who actually want to go the opposite direction. They like to give it all away and have nothing. So there's like all this dilemma in it because the woman you're with is driving a lot of what this desire is. You're in a very comfortable position right now. This is very comfortable. And that becomes a challenge in producing anything because you're like, well, what's the purpose in producing more if right now I'm already super comfortable? I don't worry about what I need. I can do what I want. I can go where I want. I can be where I want. And so we've gotten to the edge. Not the case of Ben. Ben, how much do we need every month? What do we need every year to pay the bills for you?
Every year for me to be out of scarcity, I'm going to go with 150.
So we need 150, but we made 70.
Mm-hmm.
We need 150, we made 70. So how'd you make up the other half of it this year? Debt, borrowed money, savings?
I used some money from an insurance claim.
Okay, so we have money that came from an alternative source that offset the difference between the 70K and what it is. Are you still driving a boat?
Not for long.
Okay.
I'm off injured right now, so I still get a portion of the paycheck.
Okay. Okay, so right now that we're in a deficit, and Paul, right now, what's yours? What do you need annually to cover?
36,000 cost.
36,000 for the year?
Yep. I'm an entrepreneur. If you ask me on the entrepreneur side, I am absolute scarcity.
Okay. So, but is this enough? I mean, the amount you're making and your bills are 36,000 a year?
I'm fine.
What's your expenses?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're good, right? You're easy.
I'm good.
Easily pay your bills, you're good to go. So part of this is coming to terms with the fact that some of you have created conditions for yourself in which there is no drive to build more. It's not a problem until it is. It's like up to you, right? Like it just is. That's why those individuals going to live in like a mansion in the middle of Minot, North Dakota. You're like, nothing wrong with Minot, North Dakota, but you can be king of the shitheads in Minot, North Dakota. Come to Orange County, you're just another guy in a condo. That's it. Like it's not impressive. You're gonna make 100,000 well, someplace in the country. Here is like people like how do you survive? I'm not sure how you survive. So it's all relative based on where you are, what you're after, and what you want. But the first thing we're starting with here, when we're looking at possibilities, we're like, all right, well, what is the current game? Right now, I got Rob who's in abundance, I got Paul who's in abundance, and I got Ben who's in scarcity. This is our starting point. So when we look at 2023, we're saying, okay, well, for the rest of this year, if I was to step back and look at this and do a natural step up across these three, and I sit back, and again, Rob, this is going to be a problem because you're not sure why you would need the money. So this guy gets a different issue. This has nothing to do with like the actual money now. Now it's like, okay, we're going to have to find something else outside of this. It may not matter. It may not matter. It may not matter at all. Right? So I'm going to give you an example, Rob, that 525, like my personal expense sold out the door every month is 300 grand. That's my personal life. So almost your entire annual is my monthly. It's all relative. It's all relative. It's just all different. But I make $5-6 million a year. So it's like, it's different. It's like all of this is relative based upon what you're after and what you pursue. We're coming to a situation with Ben, like that's less than my mortgage payment every month. What Ben makes every year. Again, not like I think it's bad, good, right, or wrong. It's just different. And I know what it's like to be in the other situation too. It's like $2,200 a month rent and like struggling to be able to pay it. So there's a piece here that we're looking at. And then we've got this map that we're looking at here at the end of 2023 at 2024. Here's January 1st. And we're asking ourselves, okay, well, what would be possible here if we looked at this game of impossible and we backed up to radical and we backed up to reasonable and we said, all right, well, right now, Rob's going to end up 2022 at 525, which is fantastic. It's great. Again, none of the numbers are a problem. 70, 156, 525. Again, it's all relative. It's driven by what you want, what you need, what you desire. You're a single guy, lives in Minot, North Dakota. You make $500,000 a year. You are like the king. You drive the best fucking tractor. You pull all the bitches. Not my life. Not interested in that shit for me, but most people don't give a shit about it. They don't want my life either. So that's like the cool thing back and forth is it's not about like what I have or what I don't have or what you have or what you don't have. It's what matters to you. If riding a tractor in Minot, Dakota is where you want to be, then fucking crush that. Right? Everybody's different. I've noticed I have a desire for a ranch. I have friends of mine that want big ranches. I was like, I can give a shit about a ranch. I'd come visit for a ranch for like 2 days. Like, this is a cool ranch. There's some cow shit. All right, I can get the fuck out of here now. Don't want to be here. But they want to live there. It's like their game. They want to be off the grid. They want to be like self-generating and their own like well water and their own solar plants. And I'm like, that's super cool, dude. I'll come hang out with you. But like, that's not my vision. It's not what I desire. But the one thing I know is to be able to create the life that you want, you're going to have cash to do it. So then, Rob, we started to look at our life and say, okay, well, what do we want? Truly, like, what's the bigger life that we're after? And the business itself is a vehicle that can support us to get there. But if we don't have any bigger vision, which is what we're going to do across body being balanced, if it's not a bigger vision to pull us forward, then it doesn't really matter. Then we just continue to operate in this place. And the problem, Rob, what happens when we keep doing the same thing? If we just stay stuck in a game for years and years, what happens to our life? What does it start to feel like?
Stagnant.
Stagnant. And that stagnant leads to all kinds of weird behavior. Like what?
Smoking weed and doing dumb shit.
Yeah, smoking weed and doing dumb shit. Most guys get to a place where they're super, super comfortable. They don't really have anywhere to go. And so then they start doing things like flirting with other chicks, fucking other women, and doing different things because they're looking for purpose. This is why it happens in Orange County all the time, because there's like this desire. Well, I've kind of gotten bored about with my life right now, so I need to find some things to make my life exciting. Business is interesting because Ben doesn't have the problem Rob has. Ben has a different problem. Ben just doesn't want to collide with reality. And that's been the case, Ben, for you since you got here. I've had 4 or 5 different hot seats with you, right? You've kind of fucked around with trying to be an entrepreneur. You fucked around with trying to produce, and you fucked around with saying you're going to do shit, but you don't really do it. In the same time frame that you've been talking about it, I've watched people go from 0 to 2-3 million a year. They're not any more skilled or talented than you. They're just willing to do shit you're not willing to do yet. You haven't cracked the game of being an employee. You're living in this employee reality. Until you can snap that shit, it's not going to matter. And that's hard because that requires you to collide with your wife, and it requires you to collide with a whole lot of people that you won't collide with. And the first person was you, which is doing really hard, risky shit, but you won't do hard, risky shit. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It's just your life. You're like, well, what do I really want? Okay, cool. When I'm injured and I'm collecting insurance money and my value of myself keeps going down, 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 am I going to choose something different? I don't know. Rob's situation, Rob's like, dude, I'm comfortable. You know, what am I going to do with this? I could do more. Don't need to do more. Why would I put the pressure on myself? And then we can see, Rob, how somebody can get stuck for 2 decades living the same lifestyle, doing the same thing, operating the same way, running the same shop, because what the fuck else are you going to do? Rob, what are you hearing me say right now?
Well, look, needing a little spice for the kick. And that's, really, that was one of the things that with the building a new shop, that was one of the things that came into my mind. Cause I was, my old shop, I was there 14 years and I was bored of it,
Mm-hmm.
This is a little, it's a little.
Yeah, it's fun. You're like, oh man, I got to take some risk. Yeah, I got to take some risks to make a run. What's a number that, right now we're 525, what's a number that for you, Rob, is like, wow, that's like more than I've ever made, and it's a number that kind of makes your balls tingle? What number is that? Like if a year from now, we were looking back to today, and you and I were having a conversation about how much money you took home in 2023, what's the number that has you go, okay. And like your chest was out a little bit more, and you swear to God your penis grew an inch.
Well,
might not actually grow an inch, but you feel like they're growing an inch.
I'd probably $1 million.
What's the number?
I would say $1 million.
Million. So we're like, all right, my impossible is if I took home 1 million plus, just a shy of, we'll say 1 million plus like $100. Just so it was right past $1 million. We're like, okay, I took home $1 million. That's fairly impossible. What's the most you've ever taken home before?
5 1/4.
5 1/4. So this is like double. We're like, shit, dude, double. That's double what I currently made this year. I don't even know what I would do with it. I'm already in abundance of 525, which means we'd have to find a reason to pursue this, right? Which you're kind of already making those moves by putting more pressure on the business, getting a new shop, increasing expenses. You're doing things already to make that happen. Now, if you told your wife you're going to make $1 million this next year, how's she going to respond?
She'd probably say, good job, honey.
Yeah. She's like, I don't care. I'm good at 525. Do whatever you want, babe. That's it. Like, whatever you want to do. What do you want to pursue? What do you want to push? Why does it matter? So there's this piece of saying, okay, well, it's impossible for me to get to $1 million. We back this up and we say, all right, well, what would radical be? We're at 525. What would reasonable be? Reasonable would be to do what?
This for 2024, reasonably, would be to do the same.
Yeah, do the same.
Given the changes. Yep.
Yeah, give them the changes. We move to the new shop. It's bigger. We land at 525 again with all the changes we make and the increased expense with the warehouse. We land at 525. Now, Radical puts us in between those two. It's in between $1 million and 525, and it's a number that gets us excited. It's probably bigger than the number you've ever done before, 525, but it's not quite to $1 million. What number is that?
750.
750. Now, let's come back. Paul, 156 is our number. What's the number over here? What's the most you ever took home in a year, Paul?
156.
156. So, be fairly reasonable for you to repeat that number again. You're like, I duplicated. There's a lot to be said for that, which is you made some money and then you made the same amount of money the next year. There's a lot of people who can't pull this off. Particular entrepreneurs. It's like, I made the money, but can you do it again? You made it once, but can you do it twice? Like a salesperson who's like, well, here's my numbers. This is what I make every month. You're like, that's bullshit. That's what you made 1 month out of the year. You didn't make it every month. You made it one time, but you're in sales math, which is like, I always make this much. You don't always make this much. Sales math says I always make this much because I did it one time. Okay, so we come back 156. Paul, what's the number that makes your balls tingle?
Remember, I'm an entrepreneur. So for me,
Well, what the fuck does that have anything to do with it? I'm asking for a number. I don't give a shit how you make money. I'm saying what number makes your balls tingle?
300.
That makes your balls tingle? Close your eyes, make
Double-
sure your balls are tingling. Say the
Yeah,
number in
double
your
it.
mind and close your eyes. Close your eyes, say the number in your head.
300. 300.
Did you feel your balls tingle?
Yep,
You did?
I did.
All right, we hit the number. All right, that's it. It's called the ball tingle factor. Ladies, you're not sure how it works out? It's a titty tingle. So your titties tingle, you know you're at the number. Welcome to the titty tingle number. How'd you come up with that number? I waited until my titties tingled. Then I knew I was at the right place. It's a good thing I'm HR around here. I'm gonna report myself to myself. Okay, so Paul, if 300 is my ball tingle number, I got 156 reasonable. What's my middle number, Radical?
2.
What?
No, your middle is Radical. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's the number in the middle? 156. Can we do a zoom in on it so he can see what this is? Because I just
Split
realized
the
he's
difference.
having a hard
Split the
time.
difference.
Okay, what number's that?
250.
250. Okay. Let's go, Ben. Be pretty reasonable for you to do what next year?
Reasonable is 150,000.
Yeah, because you've done that before. So it'd be reasonable to do that. What would be impossible?
Impossible for me right now would be 500,000.
And what would be radical?
Radical would be 300.
Now, if we look at these three numbers, and we've got our play out, we've got a second number, which would be a number that you actually saved. Rob, what would that number be? Making the adjustments and changes, if you actually saved this amount of money by the end of the year also. We got $1 million, we took home. What's our vault number?
Just how much I'm putting in the vault in 24.
Yeah, in
Or where the vault's
2023.
at.
By the end of 23, yep, by the end of 23, you got this amount sitting in savings. It's not just the money flowed through and you spent it. It's the money flowed through and you got some cash over here too.
I would say 1.5.
So we're going to take 1.5 of the savings up the top. How do you get that other 500,000?
Oh, just saving just from that earnings.
Yep, just from that earnings, not total what you already had, not what you already got going on, new stuff.
Well, 800 because that just how my lifestyle is.
Okay, cool. So we got 800K sitting in the vault, and we got 1 million in King's cash. Okay, let's go. Paul, what's your number? Vault. If you pulled home
15.6.
300K this next year, how much would you have in the bank in savings?
30.
30. All right, let's go. Ben, what's my number?
If I hit the impossible game, 200,000.
All right, so let's take a look at this for a second. What are we seeing here, Jeff? Go ahead, Mike. What are you seeing here? As we're just like, as this thing kind of opens up and we're starting to work through this on the business side, which by the way is the most complicated of all four of them, is helping people get to numbers. Okay, what are you seeing here?
Opening up the possibility of what has to be true and who you would have to become in order to pull that off. It's opening up the gap and forcing a consideration of what is actually possible if you leaned in fully into those opportunities.
That's it. So we're saying, all right, if Rob went into $1 million and Rob's current game is 525, we got this number that we're pursuing. We're saying that's the number I'm going after. I'm going to put $800K in the bank. And then I get to ask the fun questions. All right, well, what would have to be true and who would I have to come to pull that off? We also have another piece which you're saying, well, what's the lifestyle along with that? Like, what does my business game look like? And one of the things, Rob, you were just talking about a minute ago was being able to be an operator or an owner out and above and get out of the operations, yes?
Well, I'm out of the operations, but I'm here every day.
Okay, got it. So we would get to define what that looks like, which is like, what does the lifestyle look like around making the money? It might be the exact same. You might be doing exactly what you're currently doing, but you're going to make more money. Right? We could go as far as in Ben's situation and Paul's situation. They may even launch, they may be done working at the place they're working at, and they've launched brand new business and they're doing their own, and they make that income. There's a lot of things that we start to play out in this, and the scenario starts to play out as we start to think about this process of, okay, well, what is the number that I'm pursuing? And what is the method of how I'll be getting that money? What would I be doing to bring in that kind of income? What does my activity look like? What does my lifestyle look like? And again, we're doing this across 3 levels: reasonable, radical, and impossible. All right, we're going to talk about this. So we got 6 minutes on the clock. We're going to do some shares inside of our breakouts virtually. Everybody's going to get a chance to talk about this for a second. I just want you to discuss what you're seeing here, what's coming up for you, what's churning up for you as you look at just this idea of reasonable, radical, and impossible. In the room, I'm going to give you instructions here in just a second. If you're clear about what we're going to talk about for the next 6 minutes, 6 minutes, you're going to talk about this, and we're going to come back, and we're going to keep going. If you're clear, type in clear in the chat so I know you're clear. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We've got my clears rolling in. Beautiful gentlemen and ladies, here we go. You got 6 minutes in 3, in 2, in 1. Off you go.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing,
Can you
guys?
hear? Good. So I guess we should crank on. I find it quite interesting because I came into this and was not really expecting to make cash at all. So it puts a lot of pressure on my model because I was thinking about raising money. Well, I'm planning on raising money, and then there's a reasonable amount they'll let you pay yourself. But it's really good because it puts that pressure on to say, how do I create the value that could make that happen? So I like it. It's uncomfortable though.
Well, it's one of the principles of wealth. If you kind of look into it, and there's lots of them out there, but one of them is pay yourself first, right? And one of the mistakes we make is we don't pay ourselves first. And I think that in traditional principles, they use percentage, like 10%, 20%, whatever. But so comes directly out for yourself.
Yeah.
And then some of them even go into like tithing, which is like, paying a church or whatever you want to do, but giving it away. Because the idea is you want to keep the flow going, right? Money that goes out will come back versus if you just hang on to it. It's like scarcity, and it's like what they call when you're hoarding, right? When you hang on to stuff, it tends to not bring more. When you let go of stuff, like most billionaires give away like a lot of money.
Yeah, but they're billionaires, right?
Well, but
so the sense of a lot of investment models, it's like I have to do stuff for free to create the value and step it up from zero. And this is saying, how do you most important thing is generating cash for yourself immediately. But I'm good.
But the billionaire thing is that's kind of a reasoning that they have a lot of money, so they can afford to give away a lot of money. It's all relative, right? It's all
Yeah,
relative.
and it depends what route you chose. So I can say, oh, well, what I'll do is I'll hesitate with what I'm doing. I won't do the entrepreneurial thing, and I'll go get a job.
Yeah.
Right. That's and some people would argue that. But anyway, Juanita, what are you getting from it?
No, I was just, that's what I'm looking at. Ben, I'm looking at, well, I don't remember the other guys' names because I didn't write them down. But I've seen the, the hot seats, a lot of them with Ben. And
Yeah.
I'm where he is. I've been back and forth with the entrepreneur game. Oh, I need a job, or doing the hustle while you're trying to build your business. And I know that I need to focus. However, right now, I have to take care of a few things. So I am going and getting a 9-to-5, which I haven't done.
Oh, you froze.
Yeah, I thought she was staring, but she froze.
Yeah.
Pausing
for thought.
That's quite the good stare there. I thought. Well,
yeah.
But
oh, you're back, Juanita. Yeah.
That's I was on my phone earlier because my computer always drops like that. But what I was saying is that's been my game, like looping through this. I'm an entrepreneur. No, I need to work. I'm going to put my energy here. No, I don't have enough time for that. Like that's the game I've been playing. So I guess it's not all in.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's that the reality, because that's exactly what I'm trying to think through, is like, what's the easiest way to get cash? And if I raise external finance, it's my belief from everyone that I've talked to, experts and that type of thing, that I will get less cash than if I go back into corporate. But then I'm not doing my calling. So my calling has a certain upfront cost to it. But thinking through it, as we're doing here, and waking up tomorrow morning and trying to solve this problem is exactly it. And I totally get,
What
pay yourself first. Yeah.
No, what I'm hearing for you and for me is, what is your superpower? What are you really good at that you can double down on to get paid more? Because you're like, how do I increase my value? I'm like, there has to be this skill set that pays you the most, and like you can start with there. I mean, I'm an awesome writer, but I'm not getting paid for writing right now. And it's been haunting me for years. You need to learn copywriting. You could be awesome at it. Buy courses, don't complete it. So when Garrett was yelling at his staff earlier, that was, oh shoot.
You were yelling at yourself.
Yeah,
me too.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Gary,
guys.
We'll figure it out.
Gary, nice to see
and
you.
Do.
Let's roll. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. It's all right, we're gonna get a chance to do a few more talking here in a minute. So there's questions that are coming up, which is, for some of you, it's like, I'm having a hard time doing that because these numbers feel unreal and I'm not sure how to reach and I'm not sure what to do here. Here's one of the big challenges. The big challenge is you have played the game in reverse order most of your life with money. You've been busy and hoped some money showed up. Been busy, got a job, and then hoped that, eventually things would just get good and you would get a raise. There's been no strategic thinking around a number to pursue and the life that it creates. What does that life create? Now, people ask, my wife and I ask all the time, like, well, why do you guys keep pushing? I mean, 2019, Danielle and I just had baby Isla. We had an amazing home in the Strand. We had already accomplished so many of the goals that we had been after. We had amazing cars. We had a great life. And Danielle tells a story of sitting in the hot tub and having this conversation with her higher self, like her soul just asking her, hey, are you like, God, are you ready to leap again? You ready to go again? And we used to walk by this home right by just three lots down from us, which is the home we live in now, which at the time was selling for $28 million. And we were living in a $9 million home, and there was this $28 million home, and it was just like, we went in to go see it, and I was just like blown away. I thought my house was awesome, and then I went and walked through that house, and I came back to my house, and I was like, oh, we have a small house. But prior to that, I was like, oh, my fucking house is amazing, and then I went and saw it. So there's this power of contrast, and some of you, it's the fact that you've settled for such a small life. But you're so used to this small life that you live that you think it's normal and it's okay. You're like, well, you know, it's good. I'm happy. I'm good. It's really good. It's really good. This is why it's really difficult, because for a lot of us, the only time we'll ever pursue something great or better than what we're currently in is because the current situation we're in gets shitty. We start drifting and life gets shitty, and now all of a sudden we're like, oh, I'm going to do something different. And what drove that was fear. It wasn't desire. There was nothing by design. It was by default. Life happened to you, so then you chose to do something. Instead of grabbing life by the balls and saying, here's what I'd like to go pursue. Here is what I'd like to go create. I'd like to go accomplish these things. I recognize I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need to be a billionaire. That's not something I need to be. I will be. I'll be a multi-billionaire. I guarantee it. People are like, well, why? Why does it matter? Because here's what I know. The guy who's a multi-billionaire, that guy doesn't think about even 90% of this shit the way I think about it. Not even close. This guy thinks about the world totally different. He solves problems in the hundreds of millions, not in the tens of millions. There was a part of me that didn't know how to solve problems in the thousands. Then I learned how to solve problems in the thousands, and then I learned how to solve problems in the tens of thousands, and then the hundreds of thousands, and then in the millions. But I've not gotten into a world where you're solving problems with tens of millions. I've not experienced that. I don't know what it's like to solve problems in the hundreds of millions. What I know is the man I am today walking around, it is laughable, the man I was 10 years ago compared to the man I am now. The man I was 20 years ago to the man I am today. So there is a pursuit for me that is not about the money. The money itself is the result, the measuring tool of the pursuit of this higher level version of me. Consider this. The version of you that makes 5 times more than you make right now, that person is a different lover in your relationship. Your certainty, your confidence, the way you operate, the way you think, you don't think the same. People don't see the connection. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's different. No. The skills to go get the money translate into every other area of your life. You don't show up the same as a human being walking around. I watched this happen with my wife as her business started to rise, as her fitness journey took on, as she started to take these things on, plus have 2 more children. She started making decisions, and those decisions were compelling her to a bigger future. Didn't have to do fitness competitions, but chose it, and it fucking changed her. Transformed her sexually, it transformed her mentally, it transformed how she thought about herself, how she felt about herself, which also translated in how she dealt and engaged with me, how she dealt with the business, how she deals with her kids, and made her a better mom. So it's impossible. You have 4 kids, you can't be a bikini competitor. Well, she proved it twice, 3 times, over and over again, saying, yes, I can. People don't like this. They don't like it because most human beings like to be mediocre, and they surround themselves with mediocre people. And those mediocre people support each other in being in mediocre lives. I'm in a mediocre life because this is what we do, because this is how we do it. Condo people hang out with condo people. Renters hang out with renters. Homeowners hang out with homeowners. And multi-millionaires hang out with multi-millionaires. And billionaires hang out with billionaires. Why? Because these people understand what they're facing. So you have stories about what this next group is. You have opinions about what it looks like, but you've never experienced it. How would you know? How would you know? Who is Sammy Finlay at $2 million a year take home?
No idea.
That's a different fucking human being. It's a different human being. That's Tristan Tate. Legit.
Yeah.
You look at his backstory. They didn't have any money. He operated in a different way. Girls were rejecting him all the time. Had nothing going on for himself. And him and his brother made some fucking decisions about 10 years ago. switched it. They generated and created everything. They didn't come from money. They created everything they have, their popularity, their notoriety, the cash, the cars, the women, the life, etc. Different human being. So you're like, well, why would I pursue it? Well, the question is, you don't have to. You don't have to pursue it, so why would you pursue it?
You want change.
Yeah, at least that's what we think. We think we want change until we have to sacrifice who we are now to become that person. And I can't let go of the comfortable person I am. I'm comfortable with myself right now. I'm comfortable with how I'm operating. I'm comfortable in the money I make. I'm comfortable in the position I'm in. I'm comfortable. And because I'm comfortable, I'm not going to let go. And so it becomes a challenge. So when you see people that are rising from frustrating situations financially into something great, they're typically coming from a place in which it's just gotten too much. Like, I can't fucking pay my bills. This is bullshit. I'm going to rise. I have not been in a can't pay my bills situation for a very fucking long time. That's not been a concern of mine. So I can't pay the bills, not been a concern. My game's been different, which is pursuit and push. 80% of the money we put into Warrior is not coming back to me yet. It doesn't come back to me. It's a vision of where we're trying to take this thing, and I keep pouring cash into it, and pouring cash into it, and pouring cash into it. $8 million into software. Continue to push with this vision that Warrior can become something that will support a whole lot of people. So when, not if, when we push to a place where we have hundreds of thousands of active users on the platform and ultimately push to 1 million users on the platform, we have hundreds of white label versions of the Warrior app that are being deployed across the world with people that run thousands and thousands of their customers on top of this platform. People sit and interview me in podcasts. We'll go back and play this piece right here. Like, well, how did you know? How did you know you were going to push this? I said, because I was committed to becoming a fucking billionaire. Why? Because I want to know who that guy is. Because the guy I am today leads so different than the guy I was 10 years ago. More generous, more caring, more connected, more willing. All of you exist in this world because I reached for more. I don't reach for more, DKW doesn't exist. Good fucking luck. Danielle had one assistant. She'd have done MBR, run classes once every 3 months, and then said, fuck it, that's too much stress. DKW exists because I fucking breathe life into it. Period. Danielle's a visionary. I'm a fire-breathing motherfucker that breathed life and structure into BMS. Period. Right now, you guys have ridden a wave of a fire I blew years ago. Guess who's back to blow fire again? Me. And that's fantastic because y'all are ready for it. You're ready to go to the next level with what this brand is. Nobody should have ever caught you guys, ever. Nobody should ever caught you. This shouldn't have ever been debatable. There was no other product out there. And yet what's happening? Competitors coming from all over the place, not because DKW's done anything wrong. It's just DKW lost a vision for where the fuck it's trying to go. What are we trying to do? Who are we? What are we about? Are we really just about hair? Is that what we're about? Is that what we're trying to do? Is just teach women how to do natural beat a rose so they can make more money? Is that really what we're about? What are we about? Warrior, same situation. What is the thing that pushed us? Why? That's why when we get on these sales calls, Tanner, I'm not having a conversation with a guy to buy some shit. I'm having a conversation with a man who's making a decision about taking his family to a level of living 10 times beyond, changing the trajectory of the legacy of these children's lives. Kids that will never know another life without a father who lives the Warrior's way. Men who live in integrity, who live in truth, and who live in commitment. Men who stand by their woman, who stand in power and confidence and certainty in a world of fucking liars. We turn these men on and we weaponize these motherfuckers. So punch that fucking pussy in the throat. Because his wife and his children and his teams and his community and his life depends on him making a fucking pivot. Now, I get behind stuff like that. I get excited about that. Hey, let's sell some insurance. Unless, of course, insurance is wrapped up in a narrative that makes sense to me. So part of the challenge is that many of you do not have a higher purpose that's pulling you forward. So the idea of making enough money to pay your bills is what you pursue. If I could just make enough money to pay my bills and go on vacation once a year. If that's how I thought, none of you would be here. You understand that? None of you. If that's how I played, you wouldn't be here. None of you would be here. None of the opportunity would be here. And the hundreds and hundreds of hairstylists from Natural Beat to Rose who learned this over the years would not have the business they have. Nikki in LA? Nope. Our girls in Utah? Nope. Candace and all the girls from the past? Nope. Even Ani's little training company. I built that bitch. Period. Period. She was fucking nothing when I found her. She had no skills, no talents, no abilities in anything, but she did have courage, and I was proud of her for it. This piece you can choose to forge, ladies. You can become what you want to become here. At home, all of you, you can choose to become what the fuck you want to become too. This is the problem, though, is that you sold out, many of you, a long time ago. You got comfortable. I'm uncomfortable being comfortable. Some people hear this and are like, well, that's not my life. I don't want that life. That's fine. Then be okay with less. Be okay with it. And know that your unwillingness to pursue more affects everything. Everything about your life. I find it interesting. You have things going on during COVID, right? And you have all these experiences happening during COVID. You have the recession that's happening and gas prices go up. That affects me absolutely fucking zero. Oh my God, the gas prices went up. If gas prices are your issue, that tells me a lot about your current reality. And guess what? It would have been an issue for me in the past too. Because the difference of a couple $100, if a couple $100 is breaking you as a man and a leader in your home on a monthly basis, you're in trouble. And we get to step back and ask ourselves a better question, which is, why am I selling out? Why have I sold out? Why am I choosing to sell out? So we're going to do a 10-minute exercise. We're going to turn some music on, and you're going to write or type. You go to an open notes section, etc., and here's what you're going to answer. One simple question. Question is why? Why? Why must I push more in the domain of money? Why? Why? What is the thing that's pulling me forward? Why do I need to produce more? Why do I need to give myself a shot to produce more? What is it that needs to be driven in my world? What is the reason that I would even make a run at anything this next year in the game of money beyond what I've already currently experienced and beyond what I've already currently done? Because if we can't answer this why question, then yeah, all the numbers that we make up are going to be insanity. Because they'll just be made up numbers that don't matter. But I'll have you consider, as you answer this why question, here is this interesting and very serious situation. Your money affects your body. It affects how long you're going to live. It affects the kind of food you eat, medical attention you have. It affects the kind of supplementation. It affects everything. Your ability to go to chiropractors, get massages, eat the right foods, go on the right vacations, take your kids to the right places for help in their physical bodies. Your spirituality is affected by your money because your ability to buy space and create space and containers to pursue the things of your highest purpose are funded by the money. Doesn't just happen because you want it to be. And the third piece, balance. For those that are single, the kind of person that you're going to draw into your world is going to be driven by the kind of business producer you are. The way that you get to treat your family, the date nights that you don't go on. As fun as it is go to the Red Robin, it's great. There's nothing wrong with the Red Robin. Date night at the Red Robin's great. Until, of course, you have an experience in Punta Mita with your wife for 5 days. And you recognize that eternity opens up. Unfortunately, not at the Red Robin. How'd you find her deeper, higher purpose? Red Robin. Chili's, Applebee's. Nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. And I'll tell you right now, it's a different game in these places. There is a world that many of you do not know even exists. A world you have never even tasted. And so because you haven't tasted it, you don't even know that you could pursue it. I grew up with nothing. My parents had no money. I had no training. I had no education on this. When you were born, I lived in government subsidized housing with your fucking mother, got cancer, my jaw wired shut for 6 fucking months. I had $300 a month and a $1,000 Dodge Spirit vehicle that bounced down the road. I had nothing. Your grandparents, your mother's parents were rich to me. Your mom got a Neon, and I was like, holy shit, we are rolling. We got a Neon. Now my 16-year-old daughter and you as my 18-year-old son, we're rolling down and buying an 18-year-old Lamborghini, $65,000 Subaru, just because I can. My daughter's asking for a $65,000 Tesla because I can. But the world I was in, when you were born, I didn't have shit. Nothing. Terrified. Your mom put me on a fucking budget for like $5. And I had to make that $5 work for 2 weeks. No one gave me a path. No one gave me a job. No one created a path. And that's why I'm a fucking savage. Unfortunately, you can't become a savage if you're unwilling to do savage shit. You've started. You've started. You started. Houston was a start. It was a start. Question is, what will you do next? Who will you choose to become now? Because by the time you're 30, you could have everything I built by the time I was 46. And the only person who will get in the way of pulling that off is who? Myself. You and your stories and your lack of why. That's it. Why do it? Otherwise, the price to be paid will always be too heavy. Can't move from Utah, it's too heavy. Why? Because I love it, it's awesome. Red Robin, yes. Gotta get that Red Robin, yes. Ogden style. Or you can just move to Orange County and stop fucking around. Choices, all of us, constantly. Choices, decisions. Choices, decisions. Choices, decisions. All of us are pursuing them all the time. All the time. Sometimes we don't recognize what's sitting in the palm of our hands. So we have to go venture out to recognize, but there are many who have gone and ventured and then want to come back, and there's no place for them anymore. And so they make less, experience a lot, but they make less. It's not bad. Or they pick a trajectory and they go. See themselves as part of something global. I'm like, well, how did you become that guy by 28? I just fucking believed in ways you didn't believe, and I stuck in ways you wouldn't stick. Played at levels you would never be willing to play. You're already proving it. Okay, you got 10 minutes on the why question. That's all of you online too. 10 minutes. If you're clear about what we're going to be writing about as we put this music on, I just want you to brainstorm. What's the why behind this? What's the why behind this game? Type clear up in that chat if you're clear about where we're going to go on this conversation. Give me clear up in the chat. Beautiful. Here we go. We got 10 minutes on this. What's your why? What's your why? Not what's my why. You don't need my life. Much of my life is bullshit for many people. You probably never should have it. You wouldn't survive in it. I do because I'm a psychopath. I like it. But that's my crazy. Y'all have your crazy. What is it? 10 minutes, write about it, and then we're going to talk about it. 3, 2, 1, off we go. Okay. So, get a chance to answer it. We saw some of you already seeing massive things opening up just from that dialogue. How many of you also had some massive things open up in that dialogue with yourself, where you're starting to see some things maybe you hadn't seen before? Type in me in the chat if you have seen this for yourself. Again, this is a question I have to ask all the time, because at a certain point you get to with money, you don't need money anymore the way you used to need it. That means we're pursuing something totally different than what we were pursuing before. So we've got share time coming up. We're going to go 12 minutes on this share. Everybody's going to get to talk about it inside of a breakout. Important that you discuss it. Then we're going to dive into our map with our impossible game and our freedom of what we're pursuing in the game of business and money. You got 12 minutes on the share. If you're clear about what we're going to talk about here inside this share, type in clear into the chat so I know that you're clear. Give it to me, 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 give it to me. And here we go. You have got 12 minutes on this particular share in this breakout. Go all in with it. We got 12 minutes. We'll come back and we'll discuss. In 3, in 2, in 1, off we go.
Hey, what's up, brothers?
Hey, guys.
How's it going, guys?
So what I got, why do I need to produce more money? I have my kingdom, I have my castle. I like to build my kingdom. I'm not done creating. I want to be able to provide to my queen the security and whatever her heart desires. I want her to live her best life in her health and experiences that she deserves. I need to really prove to myself that this isn't just a business built on the hustle and the wave in the market, but that I do have my natural abilities to be able to produce. I deserve to have peace. And by producing more, it will allow me to have space for my body being in balance. I deserve the awesome toys and experiences in the world that I denied myself. Exactly what it is that I'm now envisioning is the reason why I'm doing this. My kids deserve the opportunities for me to give them that jump start. I feel like the jump start that I didn't have, I want to be able to provide that to my children. God desires for me to have an abundant life and not really be going in this abundant and scarcity loop. I really need to make this happen. I desire to never deny myself anything out of scarcity. I want to make the choices and not have choices by default. I'm worthy and capable of making the money I desire and shouldn't be bound or ashamed by anyone that's putting limits on the wealth that I build for myself and my family. So those were my revelations.
Awesome. So for me, I think I kind of answer a little bit different. I kind of played the why game with myself. So I'll kind of read what I had. So I said, why must you create the life of your dreams? I said, I want to be the boy who overcame 7 years of walking in pain, CRPS, the most painful nerve disease, the boy that wanted to kill himself and build a 9-figure real estate company. Why? Because I want to be an example to all the young men out there that are going through treacherous times and show them that it's possible. Why? Because I wish when I was going through those challenging times, I had an example to look up to. Why? Because I don't want to be on my deathbed and look back at my life and play the what if game. Why? Because I don't want to have regret of not accomplishing what I saw in my mind's eye. Why? Because my life in pain would have been wasted and others will suffer because of it. Why? Because I didn't do what I was required out of life. Why? Because I was scared. Why? Because I doubted myself. Why? Because I didn't think I was good enough. Why? Because I never got the validation for my efforts. Why? Because I never went after anything meaningful in my life. And then I said, the reason I must go after my dreams is because I'm seeking meaning in my life. I want my existence to mean something when it's all said and done. So I think my whole drive, my why is, meaning. I want to create something, bigger than myself. And, I don't want to look back and have any regrets and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. I want to try to max out this life, however long I got. No one knows how much time we got, but I don't want to look back and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. I kind of want to put all the chips on the table and, see where the cards lie. But if I don't do that, I know I will, die with a lot of regret.
For sure, Nicholas. Appreciate it, brother. Dave, Paul, who?
Yeah. So for me, I'm at the juncture where I don't have anything going right now. I've left something along, that I did for like 20 years. I'm totally changing gears. And the question of why build $1 million company actually did cross my mind of why am I even doing this? Why am I even wanting to do this? And so what I've sort of come to at this point is to me, there's a certain kind of comedy to life. Life's kind of actually pretty fucking hilarious and absurd. And I kind of want to just build the most gigantic pile on which to stand and blast my absurdity into the fucking universe. Like I want to make a noise. Like I want to like just like register like I fucking exist. And I you know, I want people hopefully even to remember I existed, you know. Like it's like I want to buy the biggest bullhorn I can and just like make it no question that there's something going on over here. You know. So I guess it's like it's like the why is like I really just want to like express my vital essence, you know, and not be tiny. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Oh my, I'm hearing legacy as a common theme here. So I work for a nonprofit. So when not Eric, but when Garrett asked me what I make, I could really give a shit. I've got enough. I eat. The Army trained me to be an expert engineer, and that's what I am. I work for a nonprofit, but I've got $250 million in buildings I take care of that have been driven absolutely in the fucking dirt by people that didn't know what they were doing with good business decisions. So 5 years ago, they started my division up, which is properties and facilities. I maintain those buildings so that people can come and work on their mind, their body, and their spirit. And it's a peaceful mission. So like, you know, you don't remove IEDs out of the road. You build buildings, you maintain them, and you make sure they're in the absolute best they can be. So I came up with $2.5 million a year will get me to 25 million for the deferred maintenance. 50 million will get me to the middle ground, and 100 million, which is a really hairy ass goal, is only 10 million a year from a bunch of billionaires and millionaires that belong to us. So it can be done. And my legacy is going to be, I'm going to fucking do it. And they don't know how to take me because I'm what's called a parachute. I jump in the nonprofit, you hire a subject matter expert, and the guy makes you really uncomfortable because he fixes shit, he runs systems, and he tells the truth. So I've taken Warrior with me along with my Army skill set, and it's like, tell the truth. Machinery doesn't lie. How much money do you need? Don't fucking lie to me. Just tell me. Did you break it? Yes. Okay. Let's make sure you don't break it again. So this has really been a great program, and I don't need the money at home. You know, I'm 10 years from retirement, 7 years. My legacy will be what I execute, and that takes it takes a daily core four. And I actually developed the core four for my areas, which is janitorial, facilities, construction, and personnel. And we go through that every single week, like freaking systems. So there's a lot of excitement that this can bring to any business. And you're right, Dave. Just you want a surprise? Tell God what your wishes are. He'll give it to you, baby. I never thought I'd be here. You know, I didn't know where I'd be.
I worked in a nonprofit or in a nonprofit environment in like a political purpose kind of role to like advance stuff that benefits society for like 20 years. And I was similarly like I parachuted in when there was like hairy shit going on.
Yeah.
And I knocked down impossible targets. People never understood how I did it. Some people actually resented me for it. You know, partly because it like highlights that they couldn't do it.
Well, they weren't. Different mindset.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like it's interesting now to like think back on it because like that's not my life anymore. So it's like I can't live in those. Like I can't draw my identity from it. But I can draw from some of the strengths, and I'm trying to like draw my line for like how much of my old life I'm burning, and like how much of it actually is me. I don't totally fucking know that.
We trade life units for what we do. So the value is, do I like what I'm doing? You know, most people don't like what they're doing. My turnover rate in the last 5 years has been, out of the guys that I didn't have to cut for COVID, that doesn't really count. The guys that have been with me is zero. My managers, though, have turned over, but my core managers in the last 4 years, not a one of them. And none of them are ex-military, which I'm really surprised at because I thought that they wouldn't last as well. So, and then I went through Warrior Con 3 and I made up that decision when I went to Warrior Con 3 to really commit to bringing the rules, the code, as well as tell the truth. And that really intimidated the shit out of people. So tell the truth here is my wife and I can retire now. I don't need to. I got shit left to do.
I kind of want to like make big bank so that I can actually go back into like a bit of like what that mission was, just in the sense of like what it's really for, right? And like try to find stuff that's better on target and I have more control over, so I can like measure the impact a bit, right? And also not have to like not make the smart moves just because other people are uncomfortable. But yeah, like I would ultimately love if I had like so much cash I couldn't burn it to stay warm anymore, just to like have it going toward that kind of like making a difference for people. Yeah. I think that'll be my phase after I go through this phase of like make ruthless cash.
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup.
And that's what we were working on. I was actually setting targets in real estate, and that's what we were talking about. Was like, if you had 10,000, if you had $1 million, like once, like I feel that's where I'm still on that road of trying to make that, to figure out what my calling is. But right now, I still go through that abundant and then that scarcity where it's like, oh man, shit, okay, I made the money, I spent the money, I made a lot, I spent a lot. It's like, what am I going to build and create this year so I can get to that next pivotal point to where I could see what my calling is. But right now, that's where I'm at. So I think I need to learn how to save the cash.
You certainly need cash to complete the calling. Unless you're fucking like Gandhi or someone, But I think most people, especially nowadays, you need the money to make the impact. Because I feel like Garrett said, I want to work on before beginning of this. I like people only listen to you nowadays if you got the money, if you got the lifestyle. If they look at you and say, I want that, then they'll start listening to you. But if you're just something like Joe Schmo, no one's going to listen.
Well, there's different kinds of cred too. There really are. There's subject matter cred. There's money cred. There's your being too. And it all goes there.
I think like having the freedom is always
coming. All right, how many of you in the room are finding a little bit more clarity on your why with this? Raise your hand. Okay, good. All right, here's what I'll tell you. Like being on my team, I don't know anyone who creates more opportunity for people to win. I know a lot of entrepreneurs. I know a lot of business people. I don't know anybody who creates opportunities to win like I do here. Probably to my own demise in many ways, right? Because I want you to win. I have this fundamental belief that if you win, I win. If you win, I win. But if you win and I lose, it won't work. If I win and you lose, it won't work. So there's this mix that has to occur between us. I'd consider also all of us online that those are run businesses with amazing teams. If you don't get this money game figured out for yourself, you're never going to be able to guide your teams to figure it out. And so part of the reason why your turnover and the way your teams work is because you haven't figured out how to dial in this money talk with yourself. And because you haven't figured out how to dial in the money talk with yourself, you're left in this dilemma constantly with how you engage it with them. So we've had some conversations and we've talked about it and you've discussed it and we've been in some group dialogue. It's time for us to move into a activity. And that activity is your impossible game map. So I'm going to share an example with you. I'm going to pull up mine. I'm going to talk about it and show you an example. Again, like I have for the last day and a half or so, showing you not how it is, just showing you an example of what it is. One of the things you're going to find here with each one of these impossible games, or these games we're going to lay down, we're going to label them as projects. You have a project that you're under for the year. You can ultimately name that project once you get through this activity and you go about talking about it and discussing and beating up with other individuals in a share. So my project, you see at the top, is Project Free King. I'm going to walk you through my reasonable, my radical, and my impossible, as well as my explanation of it. Here we go. What new reasonable fruit in the business domain is available to you that would make you pleased with your progress in the battle for more freedom over the next 12 months? Reasonable being good results that don't exceed the limits prescribed by reason, not excessive, logical, or moderate. 1 to 2x growth. Reasonable with King's Cash, 4.5 million. Reasonable fruit, King's Vault, 3 million. Reasonable fruit, King's monthly recurring revenue, 250K. Reasonable fruit, free King, 1 call per week, 1 mastermind per month, and 2 one-on-one clients at 1 million. What does this mean? Like, I'm not involved in anything else. Pretty reasonable to pull this off, right? Get to a place I got 1 call that I'm responsible for a week. That's it. 2 one-on-one clients, not 10. 1 mastermind per month that I get to attend for 2 days with my guys. The rest are all being handled by somebody else. I don't do anything else. That's all the piece I'm involved in when it comes to operations. Come next piece. Well, Radical. Radical will be King's Cash at 6 million. King's Vault at 4 million, King's monthly recurring revenue at 500K, and Radical Fruit under the Project Free King would be 1 call per week, 1 mastermind per month, and no one-on-ones. So just eliminate it. I've had a one-on-one client or been in one-on-one consulting relationships for, like 10 years. So it'd be the first year ever not having it. I said I'm going to do it like 3 years in a row. I didn't do it. Right, bunch of different reasons for that. I can see why I was inspired to stay in it for this year with some of these guys. Sometimes it's economical reasons that we do it. Sometimes it's because I need to fund some things or I need to take financial pressure off the business so I can hire more people. So I let the business produce itself to be able to fund it. So I step away and do some things over here so that I can continue to flow while we leave the business to be able to do what it needs to do. This would be pretty radical, which is none. It'd be the first year in a decade that I didn't do that, which takes about 20, 25 hours, 30 hours of my week. It's a lot of time invested in these guys. What would be impossible? Impossible. King's Cash, 8 million. King's Vault, 5 million. King's monthly recurring revenue, 1 million. The Impossible Fruit is a free King. No weekly call commitments. No monthly mastermind commitments. No one-on-one commitments, which means the entire operation of Warrior is run without me. Training teams, coaching teams, facilitation teams. We made the jump, and Warrior became, quote-unquote, strategic coach / landmark education, which is the results in the process were so fundamentally sound that it didn't require the cocaine train of Garrett J. White anymore. You can get the cocaine train if you want. We'll be partying over here. But nonetheless, like the process of the company is running without me. Leads, sales, fulfillment, coaching, results without Garrett J. White. Revelation. Bottom line, it's time. I've been grinding as an owner-operator for 22 years. I've never run a business without a massive amount of my own sweat, blood, and tears being heavily invested in operating the business. The only exception to that would be my involvement with DKW and pouring 3-4 years into that business and then stepping away in 2019 and continue to have it rise. It's time for me to rise as a visionary. It's time for me to have 100% of my time back to me. No operator needs, no coaching, no training, no mentoring. I have a new team of coaches, mentors, and trainers who take the torch for the next 10 years. I know this is possible. I know I can do it. I also know I can do it and exponentially grow my income at the same time. The offers are ready. The traffic is ready. The teams are ready. The market is ready. I am ready. Final belief. Freedom is the outcome of massive fucking work to establish the frame and the game that will set you free. Now, I didn't just like come up with this shit and pull it out of my ass in 5 minutes. I have thought about this and gone down it. And there's 2 fundamental pieces for me. There's a piece of money in the form of both cash to me, but also monthly recurring revenue from software. There's 2 of these. It's not just one move. It's 2 moves. It's consulting, training, coaching, products, books, and education. And on the flip side, it's monthly recurring revenue from software. 2 different moves, but the biggest piece is this idea I'm pushing to for Project Free King, which is I get to work and pour into, and the only people I pour into consistently are my teams, my coaches, my executive leadership teams, and all of our teams across both DKW and Wake Up Warrior, which means I wake up, I still work, I still do my thing, but we've gotten to a place where we've got Trevor, we've got a handful of other individuals who are leading like champions here, doing an amazing job of producing results in the Warriors way, and I get to play a different experience as an operator in a different way, which is working on the business with our teams and continuing to grow the business without having to be deep in the weeds of fulfillment. Would it be a different life for me? Woo, shit, I don't even know what that's like. We already do big shit here, and I market 5% of my time. 5% of my energy's gone into marketing. 5%. We don't even know what's possible. It's like accessing like 40% of your brain. You like, bend walls and shit. This is what could happen. Like we look at it, we sit back and say, all right, what would happen if Garrett was able to focus on marketing and selling inside of Warrior for 50% of the week every week, which is not what happens. I have to put things in play, I spin some shit, I hand it to teams, they go, and even from there, we still dominate anyone else that's trying to play in the space. So this is a massive shift for me. And again, I want you to see, this isn't just a money shift. It's the type of money. It's cash, but it's also recurring revenue inside of a totally different environment. In 2018, I sat at this time of the year with my fact maps, and I recognized that what we had built was an unworkable model. At that time, I made a commitment. Just like I am here, I made a commitment to myself. And I told the world and I told myself that I was committed to turning Warrior into a software and education company. At the time, this was craziness. I didn't have the books written. I didn't have the curriculum created. I didn't have the home study courses. I didn't have the maps. And our software was a bag of dicks. It was horrible. It was like fucking embarrassing. I don't even know how to call it software. It was just embarrassing. And I'd already put a ton of money into it, and it didn't work, and I was super pissed. I was like, fuck. So I was like birthing a new identity in myself. Now, fast forward to 2019 in the spring, and I'm standing on stage at the DKW event at the AV Irvine, and then I have the I Quit presentation, which was followed previously by the event in the fall that year when I had said the word cunt from stage, of which time we caused a whole lot of problems, and I was like being worked out of my own business at the time, which was fantastic because I was ready to be worked out of my business. The amount of change that I had brought in the last 4 years to my life since 2018 to 2022 through fucking COVID, has been driven by a vision for where I want to go. It's been economical, and it's also been a vision of what I want to create. The ultimate thing at that time was that I wanted to create models that outlived me. That wasn't just dependent on me. In 2018, it was dependent on me and a band of crazy coaches. In that time, I wrote 5 different books. We built 300 hours of coursework and curriculum. We were another $4.5 million into software, built a legit software team, delivered an app that transcends anything we'd ever done before, and are moving in directions that the game itself now has the possibility of being able to live beyond me. How many in the room here in Warrior can recognize the amount of change that we've done in the last 4 years? Raise your hand. How many online being part of Warrior, were part of Warrior in the past, can see how radically different Warrior is now versus what it was back in 2018 if you were here? Type in me into the chat if you can see it. Like we have already proven, but again, this was sparked by a desire and a push and a vision that I had sitting inside of my fact map experience just like you are here. So we're going to spend 25 minutes. Not going to go a full 40, 25 minutes. I would encourage you to work through. You can write these numbers down. You can put them on whiteboards. I want you to play through just like you saw me do with our examples here earlier, which is you're going to play around with some numbers. We're looking for the titty tingle and the ball tingle. Now, at the same time, we're going to also get to beat these numbers up because some of these numbers is like being at a network marketing conference. And you got Bob the Builder and Mary the Homemaker who just showed up at their first network marketing event. And everybody's like, how much money are you going to make? You're like, I'm going to make $1 billion in recurring revenue every single month by next year. And everyone's like, oh my God, Hercules, you can do it. Okay, there's a number that's just pure bullshit. And then there's a number that makes you excited, makes you nervous, and makes you like, I'm not sure how I'm going to pull that off. But it's not like, I'm going to make as much as Elon Musk next year. No, you're not. You're not. Like, you still have to debate whether or not you should get Tudor and Spunky sandwiches every day or not, or you should save the $7. You're not fucking being Elon Musk anytime soon. You might be lucky to get a sticker of Elon Musk and put it on the bumper of your car. But besides that, you ain't doing this shit. Let's be real. So there's a place that you're going to want to go. What is it? So I'm going to give you 25 minutes, and you're going to get to play with these numbers. There's some numbers that will start to show up for you, and also some lifestyle. You're going to do this, as you saw, across reasonable, radical, and impossible. It's going to be numbers, and it's also going to be lifestyle. What are the ways that you want to experience this? You can see in my world, I want to create a new experience for myself. I already have waxed to this experience. I know how to do it. I can do it in my sleep. It's amazing. It's not that it's not impacting people. It's just not inspiring me at the same level as it used to. It's time for me to pursue a new version of me. And also, there's no possible way for me being a billionaire if I stay in the trenches the way that I am. I have to elevate. I have to rise, and I have to replace myself over and over and over and over again. All right, in the room, are you clear about where we're going for the next 25 minutes? Raise your hand. Beautiful. Back home, if you are clear about where we're going for the next 25 minutes on this activity, type in hell yes into the chat so I know you're clear. Give me some hell yes in the chat, hell yes in the chat. 25 minutes inside of your business. Note, we are looking at freedom. What is the freedom target in business? Play around with these. You're going to get a chance. I'm going to show you how we're going to do this in exercise to beat up the numbers. You'll get a chance to work on them after. They'll get refined and tweaked between now and the end of the day tomorrow, but we're going to at least get some on the board. You got 25 minutes. Which note, you were going to the freedom map. It already opened up yesterday with your template. So you did your fact maps yesterday. We're working on your freedom maps now inside the business section. All right. Everybody in the room ready to go? Ready? One person. Ready?
Ready.
Ready? Ready?
Ready.
Ready?
Ready.
Ready? 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 Ready?
Ready.
Okay. All right, online, here we go. We got 25 minutes. Here we go. In 3, in 2, in 1. Off we go. All right, pop. So one of the questions that came in on chat is this monthly recurring revenue. That does not have to be part of your world. So I apologize I didn't clarify that at the beginning. That's part of my world. Monthly recurring revenue was never something I even give a shit about. Let's see. 22 years I've been an entrepreneur. I didn't really seriously taking it as serious as a conversation and probably until about 3-4 years ago. So it wasn't even a thought process for me. Not saying it can't be a thought process for you. It's beautiful, it's amazing, it's powerful, right? Property and casualty, life insurance, trailing commissions, like real estate commissions. There's all kinds of stuff you can do to be that software, affiliate commissions. Like there's guys I know make millions of dollars every year just in affiliating other people's software and getting pieces on that. That's going to be something that's open up for next year too as affiliate teams here in Warrior, being able to make money monthly with the software, etc. So you don't have to have that. It can be part of your game, but it doesn't have to be part of your game. So apologize that question came up, but I didn't catch that sooner. All right, so we're going to my teams. Guess what? You got one more outside cold session talk. That's right. Keep you awake. If anybody falls asleep around here, slap in the face. For now, though, pick your shit up and get out on my deck. Let's go. Everybody, virtual, you have got. We are going into our share on this. You get to talk through this. We're going 15 minutes. 15 minutes on this share. 15 minutes. Virtual, we're going to go groups of 4 or 5. Split it up. DKW your Warrior together. Let's go. Divide it up. Here, virtual, same situation. 15 minutes on our share. We're going to go into breakouts, and you're just going to talk through it. Here's what my reasonable, my radical, and my impossible numbers are. Here's what my lifestyle looks like around this. If you're clear about what we're going to talk about here as we go into this breakout, type in clear. Type in clear, type in clear, type in clear so that I can see it. Give me clear, give me clear, give me clear, give me clear. All right, there we are. There we are. Perfect. All right, here we go. You got 15 minutes on this breakout. Talk through your numbers. Get inspired by other people's numbers. Beat each other up a bit with these topics. We'll come back and talk about what we're going to do with them once we're done. We got 15 minutes in 3, in 2, in 1. Off we go.
How you doing? Yeah. Hello. You know what? I'll go first because I'm as a W-2 guy. This is kind of like, totally different because of a lot of business owners. I don't know if you guys are W-2, but one of the things I went back and tried to figure out, like, hey, how can I make extra money? Because this year I put in the goal of making $25,000 extra, and I did. So, which is great, but I'm going to top off this year at 130, but I wanted to see what I can do differently. Like try to go to a different avenue. And I think one of the things that I did right now, and Garrett says, if you're in the pocket, do what you got to do. I decided to go back into the music business, just to release one track as a reasonable. Also to reach out to other people, and I reached out to a guy as we were doing this, and I asked him, hey, can we work on something? And off that transaction right now, I've just made $500. I will not be doing anything at all with it. It's just me reaching out to talk to somebody and say, "Hey, I need you to go talk to this guy," and that was it. The agreement was $500, and you guys take care of all of that. That's it. So that was pretty cool to do. The reasonable also is to do one track. I used to remix house music, so is to release one track, learn the digital dance market and financial aspects, because the person that used to release my music, every time I told him, "Hey, can we do this? Can we do that?" He'd be like, "Nah, I think we could." I don't want ever that to come back and bite me in the ass where I end up paying, so much money in a lawsuit. Again, working with other producers, and that's not including the additional 30 that I know I'm going to make from my job. It's just making an extra 15,000 just to see if it's possible. So that would be basically what I'm looking at right now. So, yep, that's it.
You're great. Michael, Kendra, do you want to go?
I'm also a W-2 guy, so I'm this is very pretty fresh to me. I don't like my job, so I'm trying to get the hell out of there. I really this was a hard one for me. For reasonable, I think making about 75 would be within my ballpark there. Having about 15,000 stashed away monthly recurring, because I'm trying to start my own lead gen business here. So I think monthly recurring around 85 sounds pretty reasonable. What my lifestyle would look like there is I would be still working a 9 to 5, but started an online lead gen business here, working less than 5 hours a day on that. Hopefully by the end of next year, I won't no longer need my job. For Radical, it's basically just doubling that, bringing it up to 150, having 45,000 stashed away and 15,000 as a monthly recurring. Radical would be, I would no longer be at my 9 to 5. I'd have automation set into place. I'd have marketing putting 3 times it, getting 3 times the result of what I'm putting in, and working less than 3 hours a day is what I'm hoping for. And then impossible that I can't even fathom is 250,000 one day. That would be nice. Having 75 stashed away and then having a monthly recurring of 25,000. Impossible lifestyle, having a fully automated online business that helps produce results for people underneath me. So having an agency basically to where I'm teaching other people how to do lead generation and that sort of thing. Having teams in place to fulfill those sort of operations, and then being able to pull myself out. I'm trying to build it in a way to where my face and my name is not attached to it. So that way I can actually get out of there once it does become automated. So that way I can pursue a different one that kind of ties into that. I'm still kind of working on this whole thing. I got a lot of work to do here.
Awesome, Michael. Andrew, you want to go?
I'm unmuted. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me get this back open here. All right. So my reasonable was revenue. We do 850,000 K in one office and 450,000 in my other office. And we take 300 K home from it. Reasonable fruit number 2 was I launched a new brand online course, and I do take home 50K revenue from it, which would replace half the revenue I take from one of the practices. Reasonable fruit number 3 was I sell Lakeview, which is a house we have in Spring, and we buy a single family home. And then reasonable fruit number 4 was we restructure how we pay ourselves. And I take dividends first, not at the end of the month. And that would be paying ourselves 300K is how I figured it out. Not just, like I said, what the gross profit is. Radical, we do 900K with Ryan, my husband, working 2 shifts less per week. We do $500,000 in our second location and take home 400K out of the business. Radical fruit, I take home 100K from my new consulting job. or my new consulting business. Number 3 was I sell Lakeview before the end of 22, and we buy a rental and a single family home. And radical fruit number 4 was that we take the 400K with the dividends up front. Impossible. Revenue 1 million in one office, and second office 550. Impossible fruit, pay ourselves 500K. Impossible fruit branding and my new business generates 200,000 this year for me. And my impossible fruit is that we buy 2 rentals, a single family, and a investment property on the lake in Maine.
Love it. All right, I'll do mine. Reasonable fruit this year, number 1 would be 400,000 King's cash. Reasonable fruit 2 would be 75,000 in the vault. That's somewhat replicating what we did this year. Reasonable fruit number 3, 1 date with Susie per week, 1 dedicated day with Susie and the kids. Home at 5 during the work days, and dedicated time until 7 o'clock every night with the family. 1 family vacation. Reasonable fruit number 4 would be alone time, 1 day per quarter, and get away with my friends once per year. A big thing for me is just time. Radical fruit number 1 would be 600,000 King's cash, 200,000 in vault cash, and then through the other domains being time, I just raise the times. So, for example, 2 dates with my wife per week. Something that I really want to try and get to is an additional day per week with one-on-one time with my kids. I've got 4 little kids, so that's important to me. And a quarterly getaway with my wife, and 2 family vacations. And then radical fruit number 4 would be alone time would be 1 day per month, and get away with my friends twice a year with my mates. Impossible fruit would be $1 million in King's cash. So this is the real ball tickler or titty tickler that Garrett's talking about. It just seems somewhat achievable, but yeah, it's a massive expansion for me. Impossible fruit number 2 would be 400,000 in vault cash. Possible fruit number 3, same thing. I'll just be raising those times with dates with my wife, time with my kids, more vacations. And the other thing was just having more alone time, just have silent time by myself. That's a wrap for me.
Awesome. Hey, I have a question because I'm still trying to. So the King cash is, for me, is what I take home, like from the whole net of what I make for the year, or is that like after the bills and taxes?
No, King's cash is the money that you take home after you've paid your tax.
Okay, and then King's vault is what the money that I save.
Money that you save, yeah.
And then
and the thing is, on the King's cash, you want it to be like liquid asset, like it should be cash. How much cash is you have in your account?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not equity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not investments. It's
yeah.
It's got to be like liquid. Like, hey, if I lost especially where you're a W-2, if I lost my job tomorrow, how many months could I live at my current lifestyle? Is I think a better way to think about it. And then and King's cash is after tax.
Okay, after tax. And the lifestyle, that would be just activities that you're just doing.
What does it cost you to live per month?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
So yeah, you would add like all your liabilities, and like he would also, I think when he's done it before, he's shown it with like how much you spend on groceries, like all that kind of stuff. Like if you had to go tell your wife, hey, tomorrow I lost my job and but I've got this much saved. This is the amount, that he would set that goal off for your vault.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wrote down something and I was like, man, this doesn't make sense. That's why I asked. Appreciate that.
Yep. I think.
Sorry, go. Yeah, Michael.
I was just gonna say something to Ben. Sorry.
Sure. Yep. Go.
Ben, on your targets, did you put those ones in your business or did you carry over like the ones about like date nights and stuff like that? Because we were just supposed to do fact map on business this break.
Yeah, no, I just I didn't carry them over from my balance. It was more so, yeah, because when Garrett went through his, he was talking about time to himself. So that's what I didn't put into there. So,
got it.
Yeah, I didn't. It was more so, that's when I'm talking about impossible fruit number 3. So dates with Susie, my wife, time with my kids, vacations.
So I think too that just think about it because we're going to get there, but like eventually those should move to your balance.
Yeah.
The way that Garrett shared them is because his time is so monopolized running that business, his businesses, right?
Yeah.
So maybe think a little bit more in the terms of the business targets of like, what are they? Do you own a business or are you like W-2?
No, I run businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get really specific of like, hey, in this business, this is what I need to do. This is what would be radical. This is what would be reasonable.
Yeah.
And then once you get that flow, you can kind of easily reproduce them across the reasonable, radical, and impossible.
I think where I got diverted is he mainly was talking about lifestyle. What's the lifestyle? So that's how I sort of dug into that. I was like, okay, well, my lifestyle, as opposed to, just those high level numbers as in King's cash, vault cash. Because
and also for everyone too is that I think it's I don't know if you guys have done this before, but also in business, like he also says too, is that business doesn't have to be like you have a business. It can be like if it's like there's a lot of women that are stay-at-home moms in Warrior. Right. So he'll be like, you're the CEO of the house. What does business set your business goals off that? Like, okay, our current expenses are 10 grand a month and I want to live a $15,000 life month. So what has to happen? And like, that's so just kind of thinking about it doesn't have to be, but if it's time, but really looking at business is like your financial. Because when those ones that you shared, I think I heard more balance. Those are more balance because we're going to do across all of them, the business. But I see where you got that from. So that's where, because I heard him share that. So
yeah, I just took on from what he was doing. So, but yeah, no, I can extract more out of other businesses. I've got impossible, games in terms of a new business that I'm launching. So perhaps I put it in there.
Yeah, so maybe put that across your reasonable, radical, and then your impossible as like target 4 of like that. I like that.
Yeah, cool.
Obviously, this is first pass at it, so it takes a while to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Are we gonna break those out tomorrow night? Okay.
All right, welcome back. So this one was powerful for us here in the room. So I'm excited to hear what it was for you guys as you kind of stretch your mind into this idea of business and what that ends up looking like for you as you start to go into that reasonable, radical, impossible. So that being said, Ben Taylor, how about you join me up here? Let's see, Kyle Carohan. Sorry, man, I'm slaying that one. Ben Williams, have you come up here and join me on here as well. So, all right, beautiful. I got two Bens on here. That was an accident. All right, and I got Kyle. So, all right, Ben Taylor, man, where you at, man? As you dove into kind of that whole vision for yourself.
Yeah, I think like for me, diving into the whole vision this past year has been a year of transformation. Was starting up my own business and trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. And so like diving into this and seeing the numbers and seeing the stuff that I'm really trying to push for, I definitely felt that, as I'm looking at my impossible fruit, I kind of feel like the ball's tingling a little bit of that's a lot to be able to figure out how I need to do. And for me, it's really looking into it of knowing that I need to smash the frame. I was talking in one of the groups, I feel like over a period of time, I've slowly morphed my frame, or I've broken a wall of my frame and expanded, but I just need to fucking smash the frame and actually be able to move forward.
You just try to make small adjustments and changes, it's never going to happen.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't get you there. Change doesn't do anything. Like, especially when you go into this game of the impossible, right? So as you went through this, Ben, was it what were you feeling as you started to look at these numbers, like in that impossible specifically, like from where you're at right now to that impossible? What was happening, like literally from your body, like physiology or whatever?
I feel like for me, a huge part is like excitement. I feel like there is a part of me that is excited thinking that I can do it and that I can actually get to that place. It's more of the skills and the mindset that walking into it, I'm like, I know I have a deficit in that area to maximize. I know with what I have been able to accomplish without some of the skills, that if I can learn more of the skills and mindsets to maximize my growth, that it can happen. And so part of it is like that belief in myself that I can do it when I apply those things. And then also my belief and trust in myself and in God in walking through those doors.
Beautiful. Like, and you talk about the skill sets and mindsets, right? It's right here, right? It's that thing to be able to go and do that thing. It's like the same thing I set for myself. It was like my impossible, just you guys watching, everybody here knows, like my impossible is to be able to stand on this stage and you guys can't tell whether it's me or Garrett. Like that I have up-leveled my skill level to that point at which no matter who I'm standing in front of, I've had the ability you couldn't tell the difference. Nobody could tell the difference, right? It's beautiful.
Trevor's impossible game is to get someone's last name right. Put it out there. Putting it out there. Might be accurate. I don't know.
It could be. It's quite possible I fuck up everyone's last name. Thank you for that, Scott. I take back every nice thing I ever said about you in any conversation we have had. Dick. So it's that move. So, all right, Ben Williams, what do you got, man?
Well, I might just start by reading out my revelation here. I've just got here just simply to create the radical and impossible game. The current version of myself must die and I must be reborn. No more excuses. Do the fucking work. This will be a total transformation. Just trust the process. Trevor, we've been in war rooms together. Very simply, if I wasn't in Warrior, I'd be in jail without a doubt, because I would have killed my business partner, ex-business partner. So, and that transformation through COVID totally pivoted my business. And post-COVID, I've just been in a bit of a paralysis. We had massive moves in our business, and I've been reaping the rewards for a good 2 years since that. And this is exactly what I need. And yeah, it's been good because it's reset my mind, it's reset my goals, and I now need to head towards that ball tickling sensation, that impossible game. And yeah, my impossible take home is $1 million in over 12 months. And I just know that I need to become a different person, totally different person, to get there. And the benefits through my teams, through my family will just be phenomenal. So that's what I'm really anchoring towards. So that's what I'm taking from it.
Well, I've watched you, Ben, get wrapped up into some of the things that go in your life, but then continue to be able to fight through it and continue to go. Like the things will come on the roll, like with the lawsuits and the shit that you were dealing with, like just so many things. And then the environment, bro, one thing about you that I've watched and I've been honored to watch is that you just keep going. Like that you just keep going. Like you just keep going. I've talked about it earlier today, like same thing. It's that drive to just keep moving. It's like when you see that impossible game, like I know we haven't got into this yet, man, but what are you seeing needs to die in you right now? Like what is it about you right now that is very clear if that's a part of your game, it won't work in 2023 moving forward?
Oh, I just think just simply a number of little habits that I've got, just getting, for me, it's just the sum of all the small little things that I need to do on a daily basis. That's going to get me there. I know that I've got really great people around me, and I essentially just need to connect the dots. And I need to do more stacks. I just need to, do my call for before I hit the door, do my stacks, and use that tool just as a foundational piece on anything that happens in my life, because I used it many times this year in certain conflicts in business, and fuck, man, it's just become so clear from it. So I think the weapon of the stack will is my solution. I really do.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? It's like, it's that simple. It's that simple. The ball tingling impossible game you put down comes down to what you can do. Like this is not some magical mystical formula. So absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. 2 clap. Boom. All right, you know what to do online. Come on now. Come on now. There we go. Mr. Williams, everyone gives a fuck about you. That's awesome. All right, Kyle.
Yeah, buddy.
What's coming up for you, brother?
I'm so damn excited, man. It's electrifying. This last year, before I found Warrior, I was playing the impossible game. I didn't even know it. I was just pure grind, man. Like no business experience, and just full attack. Never even looked at the numbers. Just head down and attack. And so now I'm sitting here going like, okay, what do I do now? Because grind ain't going to get me to the next step. No. And so I need to learn some skills. I got $1 million hobby. You know what I mean? So for me, man, to take home $1 million would be reasonable, which sounds crazy to me. I'm a fireman. So like this last year was just nuts for me. I'm sitting in this place. It's like a dream to me. And now I know
you're a fireman, but you're clearly doing something else.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting paid $1 million a year to be a fireman. If you are, I feel like Garrett, I'm putting in my notice.
Yeah, well, that'd be a good fire job. Yeah. No,
I'm a professional skateboarder.
Yeah, I get guys fucking jacked. That's what I do, and then I help them be better fathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that hustle grind led you to where you're at right now, and I think it's powerful. I just want to emphasize what you just said, because it led you to where you're at, but you're seeing that in order for you to go after that next level, what got you to where you're at is not going to get you there.
Yeah, like the same attitude and will, but there has to be skills behind this now, or like it's just I only have so much time in the day, you know. So I've hired a couple salespeople. One of my guys made his first sale yesterday, and I was just like, oh my God, this is happening. I didn't make the sale. Someone else did. And we got a full-time media guy.
2 clap. Boom. 2 clap. Boom. 2 clap. Boom.
It's crazy. So now I see it's scalable, you know? Like like unlimited. So $1 million for the reasonable, 2 million for radical, and 3 million for the impossible. And honestly, the 3 million just doesn't feel fucking impossible. Like it feels like it's right there. I could see it. And holy shit, like what better place to be to like learn how to do this? Like I'm hearing you guys talk. I'm hearing Garrett talk. I'm like, he's using words and thoughts that are starting to come in my head. And I'm like, these guys are they're fucking 10 years ahead of me. Like it's all shit that's like already put together. So it's just
it's not complicated. It's not complicated. Yes. We just overcome.
Yeah.
We take something that is so simple and basic, and because we don't see how we can connect the dots, we think it's got to be a complicated fucking mystical thing, and there's got to be some dude who comes in with like a magic wand and he waves it, and then somehow, and he only waves it at certain people, so it can't be this easy, which is why you're sitting here at a place where you're like 3 million. It's kind of like I'm already there. Like
yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful, man. Absolutely. It's spectacular to watch. Dude, your energy, like that's what I love about it. Even us here in the room, right? We feel this coming. It's like yeah. Like I want to like go back to mine and like redo them now that I talked to you. And I'm like, I feel like I need to go again. Woo!
Let's go.
Beautiful. There. All right, let's give me another 2 clip. Boom. 2 clip. Boom. 2 clip. Boom.
Congratulations on dad and the skateboard skills, bro. Come on now. You're doing well. You're doing well. Just fucking copy everything I'm doing, man.
Bro, thank you. Thank you for putting it out there. Thank you so much.
Bro, I've already fucking figured this model out. You don't have to spend 60 million to go figure it out. Legit. Get in. Are you in council?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, bro. It's a game over. It's a game fucking over. You take this shit, you white label this with Warrior app, you take exactly your energy, you're firing what you're doing with fitness, you expand it to a bigger conversation, you have everything you need to roll this bitch up to 10 million in less than 24 months. So, dude, you have all of the it factor. I know, because I want to be like, hey, dude, why don't you just work for me?
Hey, I thought about taking one of those sales positions. I was like, fuck, that'd be fun.
I know it. Yeah, our sales guys remember like, fuck that guy, bro. Where'd he go? Beautiful. Love it, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing. Love that you're here. So this topic of money and the topic of business and the topic of making money is interconnected with another conversation we're going to dive into, which is the conversation of balance. Balance, right? The relationship game. All right, so my daughter, during the year while you guys were working, sent me another like audio clip or video clip from her studio. So she takes an Uber every day up to her studio with her manager up in Huntington. They record, they do some work, etc., and then she Ubers back. And she comes in the morning and she does work with the salon with the girls, which we've been super proud of her. But a year ago, my daughter was just coming out of wilderness therapy boarding school. We sent her wilderness therapy camp. Literally, she was like in the desert. It was the only time I ever lied to my daughter. I had to lie to her that we were going on a daddy-daughter getaway to Utah to go to Park City. And when we got there, a surprise attack dropped her off at a wilderness therapy camp. And she was for 2.5 months in the middle of the desert with a tarp and a backpack, no cell phone, no technology, no family, no communication, nothing. And we didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do as a father. It was like one of the most gut-wrenching moments of my life. I didn't know how to help my child. And last winter at this exact time, I'm sitting there in a situation where, same thing, we're not getting traction. She's at Mountain Springs Academy in St. George. We're trying to figure out what the fuck she's gonna do. Parker and I are like losing our mind. Parker like knew all this shit I didn't know. That's how I even found out, because Parker was about to fucking kill people, like murder a man one day, and I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't understand why that rage was there. I know that rage because I have it too. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And he finally tells me what happened to my daughter and his sister. And I was at this place I just didn't know how to operate. Danielle's pregnant. She's having a baby. I had no idea what we were going to do, how we were going to build things together. And I saw a vision for what I wanted my life to look like. And one of them was with Bailey. I wanted Bailey to find her path. That's it. Like, that's it. I want her to find her path. I want her to find her call, find her game. And it's been fucking hell this year to try to get there. We have tried homeschooling. We've tried homeschool. We sent her back to Dana Hills. We've tried so many different things. And we finally got some grounding and landing. And God's big message to me this year was like, let her go and give her back to me. So I'm sitting there. She sends this song over to me. I'm loving her music. It's amazing. And at first, like when I used to listen to her, we listened to her because she was our daughter. And I was like, she's good. You know, she's my daughter. You know, I love her. And then like more and more, she just keeps busting that shit out that I'm like, okay, we could be going somewhere. And for $200 a day in Uber trips, I'm hurrying that she hurry up and gets her license so we could just get her a Tesla and she can drive her way there. But here's a song from today.
I'm jealous, I'm overzealous. When I'm down, I get real down. When I'm high, I don't come down. But I get angry, baby, believe me. I can love you just like that, and I can leave you just as fast. But you don't judge me, 'cause if you did, baby, I'd judge you too. No, you don't judge me, 'cause if you did, baby, I'd judge you too. 'Cause I got issues, but you got them too. So give them all to me and I'll give mine to you. Bask in the glory of all the problems. 'Cause we got the kind of love it takes to solve them. Yeah, I got issues. And one of them is help and I need you.
Now, some of you were part of Warrior when we started playing some of her videos like 2 years ago. How many of you heard her stuff like 2 years ago? Type in me in the chat if you heard that. Because we used to play this during some of the fact mats with like about 18 months ago. We were playing some of her initial stuff and I was like, oh, you know, it's cute. It's good. She's getting there. But this was all part of vision for us. Like I envisioned this shit. I envisioned the game. Like this, you moving out was good. Because I was like, yes. I mean, you moved to Houston and then you came back and then we were like in the transition. You got your own place and found your ground. That was part of my vision too. That was what this whole map was about. It was about me and visualizing my family being on their own fucking 2 feet. My son running his game, my daughter running her game, getting herself turned around, my other children rising up, my baby rising up. Last night, God, Isla's sitting there, she's running around, we're playing tag with me and her and Ruby like to fight now. It's like a thing because Ruby's basically like Isla's basically a baby Ruby or Bailey. She's just aggressive and fighting. So they're fighting and they're pushing and then Ruby pushes her and then all of a sudden Isla's out of nowhere and goes, don't even push me like that, bitch. Oh, God. I was like, holy shit, this is real. This keeps happening. So I look at her and she's like, she pushed me, Dad. I was like, well, that was the point of the game. You guys were fighting. And then Ruby goes in the corner and pretends like she's crying. And I'm like, look what she did to your sister. Now she's upset. She's like, she's faking. She goes over, I'm sorry. So I go say sorry to your sister. She's like, I was like, if you don't say sorry to your sister, you're going to bed right now with Miss Christie, and I'm not going to put you to bed. She's like, okay. She goes to hug her. She leans in. She's like, Ruby, I love you. I'm sorry for calling you a bitch. I'm like, oh my God. What world am I in right now? This is ridiculous. And she says it like that too. Bitch. She like just gets into it. So all of these things that I'm pursuing in the conversation of balance are like a part of my life. They're also what inspire my business moves. So a lot of the money moves I make are driven by a desire I have for my children, right? Like investing in my daughter's life, what she wants, is not cheap. It's not cheap, right? Investing and creating opportunities for my kids is not cheap. Bringing homeschool teachers home isn't cheap. Like there's nothing cheap about this. You have to be able to fund all of these shit. You got to be able to fund the activities. You got to be able to have the cash. That was my only way back in the Parker's world like 5 years ago. And $28,000 to go to college. And I was like, but this is my window. I was like, you won't return my text. I probably deserve not to have my text reserved. I'm gonna get in this way. I'm gonna buy my way in, which worked in the beginning. Doesn't work anymore, but it worked back then. And it got me into the conversation. So your money and your balance of your relationship, they work together. Now, you can look at this inside of balance the same way we kind of looked at business, which is we can look from a place of my current reality, which we've already done the work on yesterday. And for some of you, that's going to involve your partner, your spouse. For some of you, it's going to involve your kids. For some, it's going to be other people who are going to be involved. Every year, the guys that I work with one-on-one, about 2 or 3 will get divorced. People think, oh, Garrett just like gets people divorced. That's what he does. I said, no. I don't do that. I don't do that at all. I'm not about divorce, and I'm not about marriage in the way people think. What I'm about is 2 powerful people choosing to be together. That's what I'm about. And if I come into a situation where you've hired me and I watch you tolerating bullshit and you start to rise, it puts tension. Puts tension. Girls, how many times have we seen this in the hair world with a girl that comes into DKW? She's like, oh my God, I'm helpless. And she learns naturally to rose and she starts making a couple $100,000 and it puts tension on her marriage. How many have seen this? Raise your hand. Like, we watch this happen over and over and over again. We watch women come in, produce, and all of a sudden the money game puts tension on the marriage. This happens the other direction too. The money game puts tension on the marriage. But also, relationships can also drive this. Part of the reason why you want to make the money for some people is because of the ability to take care of your children. So we're going to play this same conversation, current reality, across to impossibility. I'm not going to walk through some examples. I'm going to give you a chance to do it, but I'm going to share with you mine. So let's jump into mine. I'll give you an example of what mine looks like coming in. Mine's a little unique, a little different in the way I look at how I'm going to play the balance game out this year. Let me pull it up. So my project name inside of balance, is what I'm calling the Law of 52 at 5 p.m. Let me explain what it is. Reasonable fruit, home at 6 p.m. every night. That's reasonable. I did it twice before. Twice before in the last 5 years I did it. I made it home on it. It was a Tuesday in the fall of 1983. So the Reasonable Fruit, Date Your Wife podcast, 12 episodes. Here's the thing about Date Your Wife podcast. It's therapy for me and Danielle. Our marriage is better when we do the podcast. If anybody else listens to it, that's great. But the reason we actually do it is because it gives us this focused time to talk about shit that we might not talk about. For example, last night, if we had talked about the topic that Danielle was fired up about, but we were on a podcast, Danielle wouldn't yell and scream and break microphones. We could have a talk about it. But last night, we didn't have the microphones out. I just need to start popping them out of the backpack. Hey, we're doing a show right now. Let's talk. Don't get crazy, woman. Talk. It's a podcast. But I didn't have those. That's a good plan. I'm going to put that in here in the notes. Make that happen. Just like drop down from the ceilings in the master. All right, we're on a show now. I'm recording. Come on. So the podcast for me is a big deal, but we get sporadic with it. With the birth of kids last few years, we'll do a bunch, and then we won't, and then we will, and then we won't. And we notice there's a big difference when we're doing a podcast. So reasonable be to do 12 next year. Reasonable fruit number 3, Warrior Dad, Son Edition podcast. You're my only son. Let's go.
I win the lottery, bitch.
That's right. I'm already first place in the game, bitch. All right. So this is like, I was sitting there, I had this thought. I was like, man, I want to spend specific time with my son, but we just can't seem to make it happen. So I was like, well, the same thing happens to Danielle and I, because there's so many kids, there's so much going on, and too many businesses, and so much shit happening. The podcast gives us this thing. Plus, we do date nights, but it gives us this thing. I was like, what if I did that with my son? That'd be awesome. We could also have time for us to talk and dialogue about heavy, hard shit. Give me a chance to get to know more about his world every year. And because it's a podcast, we grow his social media following. He might be really interested in doing it. Thus far, he's not decided to join me at 3 p.m. to throw the Frisbee on the beach on Sundays like he's 12. He's like, I'm too old for that shit, Dad. I'm like, oh, I do. I have this thing in my mind. He's like 12 years old and we're down for, come on, son. Let's go throw the Frisbee on the beach. So that'd be a reasonable. We'll do 12 of those episodes. And then the last one, Warrior Dad Daughter Edition podcast, which will be 12 episodes with my daughter Bailey and Ruby, which is intertwined between those two. Giving me a chance to talk. Ruby doesn't talk much, but she does talk if you get her in an environment to talk. And we just don't get a lot of those environments. If it's a podcast, it becomes justifiable. Pretty reasonable to do 12 of those. Next piece, Radical, home by 5:30 p.m. Now we're getting crazy talk. Along with this, would double the podcast number. So 26 podcasts with Danielle, 26 Warrior Dad Son Edition podcasts with my son Parker, 26 Warrior Dad Daughter Edition with Bailey and Ruby. And then Impossible, home by 5 p.m. Home by 5 p.m. It's a big one. This is not a small commitment. I came to Danielle and I said, hey, good news. She said, what? I said, I'm going to be home by 5 p.m. She's like, the fuck you are. I was like, no, seriously, I'm going to be home at 5 p.m. She said, don't do it for me. Don't do it for me. Don't come home at 5 p.m. for me. We've learned how to live with you without not being here at 5 p.m. If you come home at 5 p.m., it's because you want to be home at 5 p.m. because you want to be with your kids, not because you're doing me any favors. We got this shit handled without you. If you want to be home at 5 p.m., you do it for yourself. Here was a fun caveat. She put a little asterisk on it. She said, side note, if you do choose to come home at 5 p.m., this is not an excuse to make less money. Clear? Like, where you going with that? Wasn't my plan, but I like you reminding me. Thank you very much. I appreciate you reminding me that's not a possibility. So it was both. Now, along with this DHY podcast, 52 episodes with her, Warrior Dad Son Edition, 52 episodes with Parker, 52 episodes with Bailey and with Ruby. Now, when I sit and I think about this, that's a lot of fucking podcasts. That's a lot of podcasts. I mean, you're talking about 156 podcasts. Like, that's like one every week with each of them. That's 3 podcasts a week. That's 3 hours of podcasting a week for a year with everything else I have going on. This is a massive commitment. But what I know is for Parker and I, it's going to change our relationship. It's also going to make him much more savage on a microphone, which is what I did with Danielle too, which actually benefits our life, benefits him, but kind of benefits the whole picture. And it gives us a chance to have shows. I also think it'll reach a different marketplace of people because him and I are having conversations as like a warrior dad and a son. And we can battle and debate and talk about funny shit and argue and have our emotional breakdowns and do all of our shit on the show, which would be great. And Bailey and I will do the same thing. And Ruby and I. Here's some final thoughts on it then. Bottom line, my podcasts are therapy. When Danielle and I are crushing on our show, we do better as a couple. When we're not crushing on our show, we do worse. I've seen it. It's happened over the years. The podcast is an elite opportunity for us to thrive as a couple and a compelling, real conversation. We're not able to do this the same on date night. I want to roll out the same game with my son and daughters. Couple one time per week that are locked into the studio and crushing our show together. It'll be worth it. Crushing their shows every week. Plus, being home at 5 p.m. is an exciting outcome. I know we can do it. I also know this will take massive commitment. Commitment I know we can smash. Commitment I know we can lock down, and that will have a profound impact on us as a couple and my children. The lesson from this was strategic time invested in marriage and children provides exponential return on investment. So I've had to go through and rework my entire schedule for next year. Readjust how my contracts are with people, readjust how we're running events, readjust how we're doing everything to assure that I get home at 5 p.m. It seems like a really small thing. Some people have no problem. They're like already wanting to go home at 2 p.m. I'm a workaholic. This is what I do. I work. It's what I do. I love working. I've been working for like 22 years, like real fucking hard. Like I just like, the minute I got bitten by the bug of entrepreneurism, I was like, working is what I do. So being able to unplug at 5 p.m. and be present with my kids and be present with my wife creates a new opportunity because between 5 and 7:30, I can be all in it with the kids. Fill up their love buckets, fill up my love bucket, and then at 7:30, I can have the conversation, which is why the fight started last night, because I rolled in at 9:30, brought up some topics about invoices from Theo, about some construction projects and how my Lamborghini is getting fucked up in the driveway and I was going to have it fixed, and I brought the money topic into her while she was laying in bed. What she was really pissed off about the fact was she'd been laying there for 45 minutes waiting for who? Me. And I was fucking around with my daughter, putting her to bed because I was feeling all this lack of a connection with Isla because I hadn't seen her for like 5 days. And I didn't get spending time with her. And I was just sucking on all that love with her. And then by the time I put her there, when said goodnight to Ruby, said goodnight to Bailey, locked the house down and came in, she'd been waiting there for 45 minutes to spend time with me. And so this morning I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, dude, like you have a woman that wants to be with you. Last night, Danielle wanted to cuddle. She wanted to talk. She wanted to fuck. These were 3 things she wanted to do. What did I do? I fucked it all up and she got pissed off and angry and yelled at me for 30 minutes. Right? But this doesn't happen if I come home at what time? 5 p.m. Because then I got plenty of time to work it in with the kids. We don't know a life of Garrett home at 5 p.m. I don't. It feels weird. The sun's still up. I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, there's a lot of shit to do. We're going to be trampolining and I don't know what the fuck we're going to do. It's like it's a new adventure for me. I'm like, be home at 5 p.m. It's like the day barely got started. I don't know what we're going to do at that time. To you, that mean nothing. To me, it's a big deal. Those who've worked with me, how you know that? How many of you know that's a big deal? Raise your hand. Like, dude, I grind, man. I like work. I'm here early at 6. I go till like 7 to 7:30. I just work. This is what I do. So like coming home at 5 is a big commitment for me. All right, now, as we go through, we're going to go on a 6-minute talk. You guys are going on a walk and talk around my block, so put your shit on and get out of my door. And the rest of you go into a 6-minute share. You're going to talk about what you're seeing from what I just shared. There is a lot of diversity available inside of the Balanced Target. You got 6 minutes on your share. 6 minutes on your share for you to be able to be in this conversation with the group. If you're clear about what we're going to talk about over the next 6 minutes, type clear in the chat so I know you're clear. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Loneliness.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, we're going 6 minutes. 6 minutes on the share in 3, in 2, in 1. Off we go.
All right, Jason, are you here? Or no. Yeah. All right. Looks like we've got 2 minutes apiece, a little bit less. Things I'm picking up. I'll throw something out there and then kind of bounce back and forth maybe. I like how it was the reasonable, and again, using it as a steps. For me, the thing that I liked was, you can do this, but you can't make less money. It's interesting to do the business first and then see what that would create inside my balance, that side of my balance. And we haven't done that before here. It's always been like, what does your balance look like? And then figure out business. So like, for me, my impossible for business would be to not be an employee, just to have my own company. And so what would that look like? What can that open up for me inside of my balance game? That means I could not leave for work. It just means I might be able to do morning routines, which is already coming up. It's kind of what my impossible would be. If I'm here for both morning and night routines, if I take that off my wife's plate completely, that'd be fucking crazy. So that's crazy how this is popped out. It's a new twist. I like it.
So yeah, I mean, I think what I'm just grabbing it is just kind of how it's like how messed up I am, and it's like how much work I have to do to try to figure out what the hell is balance. I mean, I'm a lot like Garrett when it comes to it. I just kind of go to work and then I don't stop, and then my brain gets going, and so I'll go back in and do some more work. And it's like having a home office is not positive. But yeah, so it's really interesting just even trying to think about what is balance going to be in this. What is that freedom with that? What do I need to attain? What aspects do I need to feel so I make sure that I don't lose what I already have? Yeah. And that's going to be a big one to kind of even piece through, to really write down, jot down, think through. And I think it's also a matter of like including my wife in it too. Obviously she's massively important in this deal, so I got to make sure that I'm not just coming up with shit that I want to do. I want to make sure I'm coming up with stuff that I need to go after and achieve for us, not just for me. Right. And I think that will be a big piece of this to try to figure out.
Nice. What are you picking up, Casper?
Yeah. No, it's an interesting topic for me as well, because when we just had a baby some years ago, there was a lot of pressure on me working too much, and then I felt like I had to be home early, or it was just intense with small kids for us. And now basically my girlfriend just said to me, really, you could just go away. You don't need to be at home, just to bring back the money. They're like, okay, that sounds pretty good. But I'm trying to find the balance, because I haven't made much money for the last year. I had some partners that dropped out and things got fucked up. But now I got a solid base, and I'm ready to take off basically from next month. So it's really good to think through what's a good system. Like it does make sense for me to be home early if I'm not really present with the kids or with her, and I might just be thinking about work and being in the way, really, instead of being home and being fully on with everybody. Yeah, so it's definitely good for me to think through.
Yeah, how does hitting your impossible game in your business help support your balance targets, right?
Yeah, so much. Yeah,
that's a big deal. What would Radical do? What would your Radical business target do for you? Hey, Corey, I got a question. You said you're in a home office.
I just have my own home office. Yeah.
Do you have a separate office or no?
I don't while I'm here. No.
I wonder if that's something you can intertwine. Like, what would that do? What would that create from a space and a separation? I know that's something that Garrett has talked about oftentimes is just the challenge of that. So, what would that look like if you tied that into your business or balance targets of an office outside and that separation?
Yeah.
What would that create for you?
That's a good point. I think the part like Casper you just brought up. I think the biggest thing that another big thing. I mean, is working on really being present. It's like how do you turn off? And give all your stuff that you need to. Being an entrepreneur, going, focusing, doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I have a really hard time shutting down.
It's so tough. Like, and even for me, it's been only business, only going. I don't have time to. I haven't given myself permission to do any call for or anything. I basically have been doing intermittent fasting, not eating basically for many hours, and then drinking black coffee. So.
Let's go, camera on, home. I go, docs. Okay. So we got some shares, we got some talks on it. Now it's time for you to do some work. So we're going to take 25 minutes. You're 20 minutes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We're going 25 minutes on this. 25 minutes. You're going to work on your balance, reasonable, radical, and impossible. And again, there's a lot of ways that you can play this. What I gave you is just an example. Sometimes there's trips. Sometimes they're engaging in, last year was me getting my children through therapeutic boarding school. Like there was a lot of different ways to look at this. Right now, just use this as a brainstorm. We're not locking these in concrete today. We're just going to get ourselves started for the next 25 minutes about what could potentially be the game. You can do something with each one of your children and your wife or husband, or you can make it about the whole family. Just allow yourself to be free. But as we do this one, we're going to get ourselves grounded before we do. So stop typing, close your eyes, sit back in your seat. This is an important one, a deeply important one. Let's go ahead and close your eyes up, and take a deep breath in and release. Deep breath in and release. And one more deep breath in and release. Inside this space, I want you to be in the following idea. Keep your eyes closed. Here's the idea. What would love truly create in your relationships? When it comes to your partner, what would love look like sexually? What would deep love and connection look like in the way you communicate with each other? What would deep love and connection look like in the way you engaged and collaborated together? Allow your children to come to your mind's eye. If you don't have children, allow other relationships to come to your mind's eye. And look at these kids and envision what would be the highest form of love and its expression with these children. How would things be different than they are now? What would you be doing differently with them? What would you be seeing differently with them? What are some impossible things that could occur that right now, in the way you're sitting with them, it seems impossible for it to be true? Now step back from that entire family experience, from your spouse to your children, or to potentially for those that are single, standing in a relationship with somebody that matters. The savage king or queen that you've been looking for. Possibly the child that you don't have that you want. Now step back from this impossible vision and just look at your world when it comes to what love and its highest expression in relationship could look like. And deep breath in and release. And deep breath in and release. In a moment, I'll count back from 3 down to 1 and give you the signal of move. And when I say move, we'll cue some music up. You'll open up your device and you'll begin to give yourself some freedom to look at what would be reasonable over the next 12 months in your relationships. What would be radical if these things were occurring? And what would be seemingly impossible if those things were occurring? In 3, in 2, in 1, move. Open your eyes, cue the music. You've got 25 minutes. Back out on my deck, let's go. Last time for the night. You guys like, oh shit, we're done now. Nope, not done. Last one for today. All right, as my teams move themselves out to the deck to talk and discuss, you all get a chance to have a little talky talk too. So here's how it's going to work out. We have got time right now, 4, 10, 12. We got time for 15 minutes. So we're going to go 15 minutes on this. Then I'm going to give some specific assignments to wrap up for the day. And then we're going to be done with day number 2 with some assignments heading into day number 3. So if you are clear about what we're going to be doing and what we're going to be sharing here inside of this breakout, type in the word clear into the chat so I know you're clear. Give me clear up in that chat, clear up in that chat, clear up in that chat. All right, beautiful. We got 15 minutes on this to share your balance, reasonable, radical, impossible in 3, in 2, in 1. Off we go.
What's up? What's up? Oh, someone is there.
Oh, yes. Hey, Tim.
I just saw Warrior record in a blank thing. How you doing, man?
All right. Good, good. Good. Didn't get to go all the way through it, but yeah, there's lots to cover.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's
Do you
your
want to start and go through yours?
Sure. Yeah, so I've got 3 kids and a wife. Oh, look, Jamie's joining us.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
What's up, Jed?
We just flew over in the middle of a conversation.
They must have seen 2 people in this room and joined us all together. So
Okay.
whoever was starting up first in your room, go for it.
All right. I was just saying, hold on, I gotta shut this door. I apologize. Yeah. I was just telling him I didn't get everything done. I have 5 kids, 2 son-in-laws, and 2 grandkids, so takes a little while to get all those people in here. So bear with me. All right. So reasonable fruit, wife, dedicated regular date night once a week. My daughter Taylor, every 2 weeks, a phone call check-in to listen about her life. Her husband Ben, monthly call to him, check in with him about his life. My daughter Kelly, every 2 weeks, a phone call to check in, listen about her life and her family's life. Monthly son-in-law call with her husband Kyle. Weekly video call with my granddaughter, and a weekly video call with my grandson. And so we do a weekly one with the family. I want to get to where I also add these individual ones with the grandkids some one-on-one time. They're a little young, especially young one. That one might be 5 seconds. Xander is 2, so almost 3. So, and then my daughter Christy, every 2 weeks, a dedicated and regular daughter daddy date. She's home for now. She's 22, but she's just came home from her first year of college and getting ready to go to PA school. She took a gap year. My son, oldest son Mark, boxing at least 2 times a week, which we do sometimes. I want to make that to be more regular. Colt boxing 2 times a week is my youngest son. Reasonable fruit number 2, wife. My fruit there is to knock out the things she wants done around the house that haven't got done. Get the honeydew list. Anybody a witness to that? Need to get the honeydew.
One
done
of my reasonables is don't be a lazy fuck and have her tell me that.
Hey, okay. Well, I could fit. I feel that. So, on a timely schedule, make dedicated time each week to get things off the list. Then my daughter Taylor sends a short video weekly, just a little love encouragement thing. Same thing with Kelly. And then an additional call to my granddaughter, just a phone call to check in with her and just ask her about her week here. Same thing with Alexander. In addition to the video, a phone call. And then a note each week to my daughter Christy. A weekly sit down coffee meal out with Mark, and one with Colt as well. Those things aren't happening right now. I need to really connect. 53 years old, been doing shit the same way for almost 53 years. It's time to, get this shit straight. Reasonable fruit number 3, wife amazing sex 3 times a week instead of just 1 to 2 times. Taylor, my daughter, text encouragement every 2 to 3 days. My son-in-law Ben, I didn't fill that out. Probably a couple texts, maybe a text to him once in a while, a little more something regular. Kelly, text encouragement every 2 to 3 days. I know with the kids, she really could use some extra encouragement sometimes. The challenges of a working mom. And then a little more texting with encouragement to her husband, Kyle. And then Christy, text encouragement every 2 to 3 days. Mark, every 2 weeks, a dad and son outing. Colt, every 2 weeks, a dad and son outing of some type, just getting out of the house, spend a little time together. Reasonable fruit 4, just got my wife done on this one. Read a book together each evening for about 20 minutes. Add that to our routine. Get a little bit off the TV thing and a little more of the interactive reading, something, relationship building or goal reaching of some sort. But I think relationship is the way to go with that. Radical fruit number 1, dedicated regular date night twice a week with my wife. Taylor, every week a phone call, check in, listen to about her life. Bi-weekly son-in-law call. Kelly, every week. Those are gonna be the same. I'm not gonna repeat those because they're repetitive for the boys, and the girls I'll save us some time. So son and daughter-in-law and daughter and son-in-law, it's every week a phone call to the daughter, and bi-weekly to the son-in-law. Bi-weekly video call to my granddaughter and grandson. Christy, every week a dedicated regular daughter date night. Daughter date night. That's hard to say fast. The boxing 2 times a week, and then 2 times per week other activity, exercise related, or go fishing, something, going out and doing additional activities with the boys. Radical fruit number 2, spend at least 2 times a week getting crap done around the house instead of just one dedicated time. The daughters and son-in-law, the daughters send a short video bi-weekly, call the grandkids bi-weekly. My daughter Christy twice a week note. Mark, bi-weekly sit down coffee meal out. Same with my other son. And then radical fruit number 3, amazing sex 5 times per week. Taylor, visit my daughter Taylor every month across the state in Grand Rapids. Visit my daughter in Virginia every 3 months. And text encouragement every day to my daughter Christy. Every week, dad and son outing. Radical fruit 4, wife, read a book together each evening. Oh, I didn't get that one. This is where mine finishes. Where I'll spend more time, read a book together each evening for 40 minutes. And that's as far as I got, guys. A lot of people to get through.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Tim. You want to take it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to, it's funny. You do these exercises and I'm going to skip past all my reasonable because I could be doing it tomorrow if I just gave a shit, right? And did it. So my radical fruit number 1 for Blake is to get him to eat real food. he's got the worst diet, and so just need to really put some attention on that. Get the kids eating a consistent meal at night. Basically family dinner, which is kind of all easy to do, but not so easy. Do something with my oldest son, something's one time a week that really means something to him, whether it's going on a bike ride or just listening. I mean, he could talk for hours, so just listening for an hour to him talk and let him talk about whatever it is. Being the oldest, he sometimes just gets way too, the 4-year-old takes more priority. So make sure that that's key. And then pick up my daughter from school at least one time a week and do something fun. For her, it's shopping, go to the park, or get her nails done, whatever it is. 4-year-olds, they love stuff like that. Have my wife go away with her mom on a trip, which would be a big step because right now they take care of the kids really. And I think if both of them step away, that would be a big move for me, where they trust me. We did it a couple times, but to be fully in charge of the kids for a couple days or a week would be awesome for them to feel that way. And I mean, ultimately, I think my biggest takeaway, not to take too much time away from you guys, was just really kind of put the same amount of dedication and effort that I put into growing the company into my family. And that's why I skipped right over the basic, because I half the shit I wrote down, I was like, I can achieve that tomorrow if I just go into the calendar and say, boom, schedule, done, right? And for whatever reason, they just take this back seat. And I'm involved as a father. I bring them to school every day. I'm there for every single one of their events. I'm there, but it could just be so much better. So that was kind of my biggest takeaway. It's just, it sounds shitty to say, but treat my family like a business. But sometimes that's just what we put our efforts into as men, and where I need to just schedule it.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, thank you.
And not sacrifice.
Awesome.
You want to take this?
I'm going to steal your family dinner.
And when it happens, it's freaking awesome. I mean, it's so silly, but just that 20 minutes, and the kids love it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my kids don't always love it. My youngest is 17.
You'll look back on it one day and like it.
It's always awesome, but it's always awesome for mom and dad.
Same thing for me. A lot of it does reflect the same thing. Really just scheduling the time with my family. Really just treating it like that business. If you put in those deposits, it's going to come back to you. So what reasonable, just showing up more consistently. I feel like right now my relationship with my queen and my kids is very inconsistent. It's like, hey, you know what? Once I got done with business, I'll show up, I'll give the wife a kiss. And some days I'm like, man, did I even kiss her? And some days I need to get back into it. Telling her she's beautiful, telling her she's intelligent, like all the things that my wife brings to the table. I've been doing that in core 4, but I know there's certain days where I'm just like, oh man, like I just not all there. So I have to be a lot more present in that time with all of my kids, or my 4 kids. 3 of them are out of the house. 1 of them still in the home with us. But to really just be more intentional, I would say, is the big thing when it comes to radical, between my queen, my son that's in the home, and then my kids that are outside of the house. Just making sure to get on those video calls. Again, my older kids, things are kind of sporadic. Like I'll talk with them, I feel like every week, but if I really look at that schedule, is it really happening? I don't know. So I think it is going to be super important to schedule that video calls and more family calls for us to be able to bond. It's going to be huge. Date nights. I'd love to have more date nights, more time with my wife, more intentional time, because we are business partners. We spend a lot of the time talking about business, or actually having a hot topic about where we want to be in our relationship, and having hot sex afterward. Like sometimes it happens, like there's super hot sex there, or it happens like here and there, but it's never super intentional, because business normally could fuck up those plans.
Yeah, you're about to go at it, and all of a sudden someone sends an email and it ruins the mood.
Exactly. So yeah, that was my biggest revelation, is just plan. We never know when we're going to check out. So just create more space in for myself, from the business, make more money, because that's going to drive those experiences together, and then make sure to show up for myself first, so I can show up powerfully and intentional and in the present with my family. It's my big revelation and lesson.
Good stuff. Yeah. My relationship with my girlfriend and the kids have really taken a back seat, or call it. I've been focused all in on my business and making it work, or try to make it work. And as a result, I got some pretty shitty relationships. But they don't want to be with me. The kids, they want to be with their mom. She don't really want me to be around. She wants to, but yeah, basically I just went all in, completely wrong path. It felt what has been necessary, but I definitely need to put in the deposits. And it's weird because we had such a strong, powerful, intense relationship, and that's the big difference I see in the reasonable and the different levels. Because I know what we have, and that's what I've been working my ass off with building this company. But it seems I can't put it off for forever, and it seems like I'm just losing that magic. And it's been several years, but I know it was so intense. It really felt like we were sort of cheating the universe or the world, because it was such a powerful connection, and I know we can get back into that place. And when I'm that strong connected with my girl, the relationship with our kids, it opens up in a it starts with us, yeah. So I have a whole list of things to get back into doing, taking my 3-year-old out on fun trips and doing the video calls. That's a good idea. I'll do that with. We don't often see my grandparents, so I'll definitely start doing that. It's a good show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Guys.
Appreciate you.
I took up too much time, I feel like.
Aye.
All right. So here's how today's going to go. The rest of the day, we got about 5, 6, 7 minutes. We're going to be wrapped up for today. You have an assignment tonight. That assignment's going to go from tonight until tomorrow morning when you walk in at 9 a.m. You are going to make a run at your outcomes inside of body and being. Your initial run at what you see as the 3 levels of realistic, radical, and impossible. So part of your morning routine tomorrow is to lock down those games inside your note. You should have all 4 done before you walk in here at 9 o'clock, ready to roll tomorrow. We're going to take those outcomes across those 4 areas, body, being, balance, and business. We're going to tighten them up, contrast them against what currently is, and you're going to see how we're going to play this. We're going to do a bunch of round-robin experiences. I'm going to hot seat a bunch of people here in front of the group. We're going to hot seat people that are here inside of the room with me. People are virtual. We're going to take you and make sure that we tighten them all up. By lunch tomorrow, we'll have our gap. The gap is going to be our space between the current facts that you found, contrast it against the freedoms that you are saying that you are after. We're going to be answering what's and whys tomorrow with this freedom. You've already done a bunch here with the facts. Our ability tomorrow by lunch is to have opened up a very clear gap in between these 2 areas. We'll then spend our time tomorrow afternoon into the evening locking down our focus. what needs to be our focus as we move forward towards that freedom from the foundation of these facts. This game right here is our mission for 2023. Now, a lot of the stuff that you're going to come up with over the holiday season, you're going to have a chance to tighten them up. Right? So the next couple weeks, you're going to want to meditate on them, be with them, twist them up, be with them. I've been working on mine now for almost 4 weeks. So I've put in hours, I've put in the initials, and then I played around with them. I put them up on boards, I've discussed them, I've looked around with them, I've had conversation with them, and made sure I feel good about it. At nighttime, I'll meditate with them, and I'll go to bed kind of running through the project and running through what the measurables are and playing it from different ideas and seeing if I still resonate with it today like I did yesterday. So I ended up with mine as they are right now. So if you have some right now that you feel very committed to, fantastic. If you have some right now that you're kind of scrapping on or working on still, that's okay also. So if you're clear about what the assignment is inside the chat, give me clear in the chat so I know. And if you're clear inside the room about what we're doing for tomorrow morning, raise your hand up. If you're in my room, turn to somebody next to you and explain to what we're going to do real quick. We're going to quick, 20 seconds. Keep typing in that chat. Keep typing in that chat. Keep typing in that chat. Clear. Clear as vodka. Beautiful. Armpit checker. Guys, oh, look at that. We got to get that focus on me.
You did again?
There we go. Can we get that camera to focus on me, Cameron, and not Jeff?
With your targets so far, feeling pretty good about them.
May I pull away?
Stop still.
I feel pretty good. I feel like with this, like with balance.
All right, perfect.
I feel like there could be more like.
Okay. All right. So, where is this leaving you? Where's this leaving you today? Brett, let's get some from you. Where are you at today after we get done with these two contrasting ideas? Obviously, we're not finished all of our freedom maps, but what are you seeing? What are you experiencing today?
I'm experiencing the opportunity to let go after completing the fact maps of just the fucking pit that I feel like I'm in, and just allow myself to expand into my freedom targets for 2023 and just let this version of myself fucking die by end of year and do whatever I need to make that happen emotionally. That's where I am.
Too good. Boom. All right, Tanner, where you at?
I feel like, especially with balance, like things are good. Like I've worked really fucking hard to make things good with my family. And if I wouldn't actually go through this and push myself to what looks better, I would just roll the year forward again and things would be good. So to have the opportunity to actually sit down and like stretch my brain into like, what is a better version of this? I now see greater possibilities. I'm excited about that.
Too good. Boom. Tim, what you got?
I always used to think that I had to have everything figured out, like my ultimate goal of where I'm going beyond just the next 12 months. And I'm realizing that that has limited me because I didn't take action in areas of my life because I didn't have the ultimate game figured out. And so one of my takeaways from this business one was that I must become this man that's producing at that level. And in the process over this next year of hitting that, more doors will open up to me, more connections will be made, my next step and path will become clearer. And I have to get there before God's gonna give me the next step.
Well done. Too good. Boom. Jonathan, what do you got?
I'm seeing things different than I walked in here, and it doesn't suck. I'll put it that way. I see myself different, and my wife happens to be at the hotel room now, so I'm really excited to see what she sees different. But that change that started when I first saw you speak, it was worth showing up for, and it's going to be worth showing up for, and all the commitment that it took, and all of it. That's what I see.
Beautiful. Too good. Boom. Jason, what do you got? Scoot closer at Mike so they can hear you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for me, it's actually for the first time ever, and I've done multiple fact maps. Actually, it's not even possibilities. It's just like this can be real for me. At the deepest, like you said, capacity. Like to finally to give your wife a shout out. Your guys' ClickFunnels presentation when I had to review that for the GT. That little tiny woman dropped the bomb of all bombs on me when she heard from God that night years ago and said, guilt is your excuse. You can have it all.
Yeah.
And I put my head on my desk and I fucking wept with joy because I'm like, and there it is, because the first part was, this is where you were fucking it up. And then the second part was nothing but God saying, have it all. Told you that from the start. Now you're actually starting to hear, you're starting to listen to me and lean into you with me. So this is the first time ever I feel like it's beyond possibility. Like, this is just what's coming.
Beautiful. Well done, my friend. Excited for you too. Too good. Boom. All right, we're gonna wrap this up for tonight. We're gonna do this circle style. Let's go. Circle it up. For those at home, you're gonna participate with us. Circle it up, circle it up, circle it up. All right, here we go. Coach Trevor, we're gonna have you wrap it up for us today.
Dear God, as we come before you today, and we come with just a massive level of humility, and we're so grateful for the opportunity we've had to be here and to have the tools in front of us and to have the leadership that we have had today to be able to go deep into our world. And we're so grateful, God. And we ask that every single man and woman that is participating will have their hearts opened. And as they begin to process and go through all of the things that they're seeing about their own lives and the possibilities that begin to open up for them, that they will be able to hear your words and they will be able to let go of their mind and feel with their heart. And I know, God, that you have the power to reach and touch every single person who is willing to seek you and is willing to seek for the better version of who they are. And God, this requires courage. And so I ask for your help in that, to be able to give the courage to us to be able to not only hear the words, but to write the words, and then to start to really plan and see what's possible and the steps that we can take. God, your love is divine. Your spirit is palpable, has been felt multiple times, and we're so grateful for that. And we're so grateful for every single one of us that we can now take this and this world and this work and everything we've done, and we can take it back into our lives and truly see the transformation that you're calling us to transform. We're so grateful, God, and you know each one of us individually. And we ask for any other blessings or things that we may not know that we need at this time, but ask our hearts to be open to hear them from you. In the name of Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Hold it up. Hold. We're not done with our hands. All right, look around at each other. Look around at each other. This is the crazy group of yahoos you signed up to play the game with. So tonight, you guys are going to do a little wrap-up together with Coach Trevor and Jeff. 15, 20, 30 minutes. I'll be gone. We'll see you guys again tomorrow morning at 8. Just remember, with the team, we are done tomorrow at 5. So my wife has said if we are not at the house for the preparation of the Christmas party she has been passionately preparing for, I will spend the holiday seasons with a bottle of lotion. I'm not committed to that at any level, so we will be done at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So for the rest of you online, we look forward to seeing you guys here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Have a wonderful night. Everybody here in the room, you know what you need to do. Hug up 5 people, and then get back in your seats for Coach to take you through the last exercise for today. Off you go. Hug it up.
Hug it up. Hug it up.